weather station.
It's 9 o'clock at KSL News Radio, and I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: a loud boom and several bright flashes of light woke up multiple people across the Salt Lake Valley today. West Valley City Police say several people called it in around 3 a.m. Lieutenant Bill Merritt says one of their officers also reported seeing and hearing the same thing.
We don't know if it was a meteor or a drone crashing or what. We have no idea what it is, but it is very peculiar.
Merritt says they initially thought maybe a transistor had blown or a car crashed into a power pole, but they haven't been able to find any evidence of damage anywhere. He says whatever it was big, but still don't know what caused it. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the man accused of murdering 4 students at the University of Idaho will return to court this week. The judge could rule on DNA evidence that prosecutors say ties Brian Kohberger to the murders.
Brian Kohberger's defense team trying to get critical evidence thrown out as they raise questions about how law enforcement zeroed in on him. His attorneys taking aim at DNA analysis known as investigative genetic genealogy, a process that involves entering DNA profiles into public databases to find relatives and narrow the list of potential suspects. Prosecutors tying Kohberger to the quadruple murders after they say his DNA was found on a button snap of a knife sheath found at the scene.
That's ABC's Kana Whitworth reporting. A man living in Utah was arrested this week in connection with a cold case from 1977. Gideon Castro, now 66 years old, is accused of killing a woman while he was living in Honolulu as a teenager. DNA testing linked Castro to the case. Honolulu Star Advisor reports that he was arrested in a Mill Creek nursing home by the Unified Police Department. Your money at this moment: the Dow's up 71 points to 44,096. And coming up, we've had emergency traffic all morning, and we've still got lots of delays on the roads to cover. Traffic and weather coming up next. KSL News Time 9:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Febreze.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Boy, right after the holidays, everyone needs a little cash, right?
Oh, yes.
We have great news for you. Right now, UCCU, Utah Community Credit Union, will pay you for your auto loan and credit balances. So all you have to do is just transfer your auto loan or your credit card balance to UCCU. And on top of giving you a low interest rate, which will save you money, UCCU will give you 1% cash back up to $250 on every loan you transfer.
Amanda, as soon as I heard about this, I said, I'm in this exact situation. I actually had to have 2 loans to get my car a year ago.
Yeah.
Long story. Got it consolidated into one, and they paid me 1% back for each thing. I've got 1 payment now instead of 2. It's so much easier, and it took me maybe basically an hour. I just went straight to the website. I applied. They said, you got to send me these documents. I did, and all of a sudden, within a couple of days, I had it all set.
This is how easy they are to work with, always looking for ways to help you and your family. You can find out more on the UCCU mobile banking app or just go to uccu.com/transfer. Utah Community Credit Union. You're going to love where you bank.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Ooh, ma. What?
What was that?
That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. We've got slowdowns going over Point of the Mountain right now between the Point and about 114th South. The southbound crash is still on the right shoulder near 12300 South, but the slowing goes back to 90th. And then there's additional backups down near 72nd. I think people are trying to bail out once they know those delays are coming up in front of them. Still have Bangerter slowdowns at the south end of the valley around 134th South, and Redwood Road's still backed up. In fact, it's not all the way from Porter Rockwell to 14400 South where they're doing utility work, but it's most of the way. Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and financing plans as low as 0%. Schedule your appointment today at goldenrulephc.com. Well, today will be another cold day, but the sun will be out. Highs expected to hit the mid-30s. Right now it is 21 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
Our top national story today is President Donald Trump ordering federal workers through an executive order to return to the office 5 days a week.
We will also require that federal workers must return to the office in person.
No excuses. You got to show up. And you heard in the background, all this cheering that goes on. Where's the cheering come from? Is it the remote workers that are finally so excited to come back in office? Or is it your coworkers that are like, it's about time. I've been alone in the office all by myself. It's time for you to come back.
This is one of the first things he did after his inauguration ceremony just a couple of days ago.
As you announced in your speech is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately.
Okay, so I want to read to you, Dave, what is actually on the White House website regarding this particular executive order so we get some context before we get started and debating this. It says, heads of all departments and agencies in the executive branch of government shall, as soon as practical, take all necessary steps to terminate remote work arrangements and require employees to return to work in person at their respective duty stations on a full-time basis.
5 days a week. That means you got to be in the office, sitting down behind your cubicle and producing, and they want to be able to see you. Now, this very much feels like one of the biggest imprints that Elon Musk has made so far.
How so?
Well, this is one of Elon Musk's babies. He loves to bring people back into the office. In fact, when he first purchased Twitter, that was one of his first orders of business. He's like, no more remote work. Get back in office. In fact, he's famous for this little phrase. He said, pretend to work somewhere else. If you don't want to work here, pretend to work somewhere else. And then he ended up firing 80% of his Twitter staff at the time. So it was a two-part thing for Elon Musk. And it sounds a little bit like that kind of attrition is what's going to happen with Trump, because he starts off with no remote work and then also signs an executive order that puts a hiring freeze on the federal government.
So we've got two things going on. We've got the return to work order as soon as practical. Okay, so we don't have a deadline on when people need to be back in the office, but as soon as practical. And the hiring freeze. I want to set the hiring freeze aside for just a few minutes here, because in a moment we are also going to take live calls about remote work versus in-person work. 801-575-TALK, 5 Talk. Remember, we don't take a commercial break. We just keep going until the bottom of this half hour. So we've got another 15 minutes to take your live calls. What are you willing to give up? Like, is it money? Is it paid time off? What is it? To keep your remote work situation so you can keep working at home. Are you willing to give up some cash? Like a 20% pay cut? 801-575-TALK. We're going to be taking live phone calls in just a few minutes. I wrote down a list, Dave, of how I feel about this. I actually sat at my desk, and on this little 4x4-inch piece of paper, I wrote down a list, like in favor of return to office, against return to office. And I went trolling around the internet to see if, local stations had been doing interviews about this, going out and talking to people about how they feel about the return to office. And it just depends on who you talk to. Here's Fox 5 in D.C. And in fact, D.C., I think it's probably suffered a lot because if federal workers aren't actually in the office, that means the economy, like the local, restaurants there at lunchtime, aren't seeing a lot of foot traffic. So D.C. is probably one of those cities that's kind of hurting financially because of continued remote work, and a lot of federal employees still on remote work. A lot of employees in general still on remote work after the pandemic. But here's what Fox 5 found in D.C. I mean, it's like it just depends on who you talk to. There's so many different points of view on this.
People do need to go back to work, in my opinion, because everything's over now.
I don't necessarily think it's a valid. I think it's a political stunt.
Okay, so somebody's like, yeah, you got to get back to the office. It's time now. Another person is like, this is a political stunt. What do you think?
Well, I'm looking at a Business Insider article that's talking about D.C. specifically. And what they found, the U.S. Government Accountability Office found that they're only using 25% of their building capacity. 25%. That means 3/4 of the building are empty. It's billions and billions of dollars being spent.
So I wrote this list this morning before the show of why I'd be in favor of calling people back to the office 5 days a week and why I'd be against it. And in fact, that's one of the things on the list. As taxpayers, we're paying for these buildings to sit empty. Okay? I don't like that idea. Now, I don't know why. I don't like the idea of spending millions and millions and millions of dollars to construct these buildings and then they're continuing to sit empty.
And do you know what's kind of hilarious? Because we've even experienced it here at our work, is there is tons and tons of space. We are still in the exact same size cubicle.
Oh, you and me?
You and me. We're in the exact same tiny cubicle, smushed together, but there is ample space. So it is interesting that even though we have a bunch of remote workers and now all of a sudden there's all the space in the world, we're still not allocated it because they might come back at some point.
Okay, my other reason I'd be in favor of return to office 5 days a week is I think it's been difficult on people. This is just my personal view from being in the office mostly since we all did the social distancing thing back in 2020. I think it's difficult on people back at the mothership here and other places to track down the remote workers when you need them on the spot. Like it's nice to just be able to stand up and talk over a cubicle compared to let me text to see if where are they at. So I miss that part of collaboration. Just really easy to collaborate when you're in person. I also feel like ideas flow easier when you're bouncing things off each other face to face compared to trying to bounce each other off of a really bad connection on a Zoom call.
Yeah. There's also the downside of that, right? It's one of the reasons why remote work has become so popular is I could be sitting down and writing, really concentrating and thinking, and then you pop up and say, hey, Dave, quick question. And now you've just interrupted my entire train of thought, and now there's research that shows this. It takes me 20 minutes to regather myself, get myself invested. So those kind of things that you see as a benefit, we also see as a negative as well. And it's the give and take, which one is more valuable. And we've kind of swung this pendulum, I think, too far in both directions, where we've totally accepted remote working as the greatest, invention since sliced bread. And then now we've come back and said it's worthless. It doesn't have a place. I think the truth is in the middle. Remote work can be effective. And when it is not effective, then you got to get rid of it.
Dave and I talking right now about President Trump's executive order requiring federal workers, at least many, many, many federal workers, as soon as practical to get back in the office 5 days a week.
We will also require that federal workers must return to the office in person.
I also want to say I have a lot of empathy for homes where both parents are working, because my husband and I were in the middle of that for the whole time we were raising our kids. We both had full-time careers, and that's why why I feel like sometimes I feel against requiring everybody to come back to the office, where I have some heartburn with it. It is very difficult, speaking from a position of a lot of experience with this, to juggle after school care for our kids. It was very tricky. And even when we had really great daycare, maybe it's grandma and grandpa, the neighbor was amazing, or we had a situation at the school where there was an extended day program, we put all three of our children in, which was great. It's still really tricky when the job runs long at the office to get, we were, in Sandy, from downtown to Sandy in a crush of traffic. A lot of days I felt really on edge, just trying to race to pick my kids up. Some people would say, well, then just quit your job. That's not an option for a lot of families.
Right.
Life is expensive. And then additionally, if you're returning to work full time, then daycare. Maybe you came to work for a federal agency, right after the pandemic, and you were promised remote work, or you at least started with remote work, and now you're being called back to the office, and now you're going to have to add daycare costs into your monthly budget, and it's pricey.
It is. And in part, what is so difficult about this is we're talking about real families, and we can't lose focus on this. Is this demand to return to work in person, this is going to force people to quit their jobs, to move, and when the expectation, you accept a job with the understanding that, hey, there's going to be remote work possibilities, and now I've ripped that out from under you, this is going to affect a lot of people.
Now, you found a list, I believe it was in Forbes, of what people are willing to give up to keep their remote job. Some people are willing to give up a chunk of pay. Some are willing to give up paid time off. We got some callers calling in right now, 801-575-TALK. Rob, hold the line. We're going to get to you in just a moment because we do want to get your take on this. But give us a call. What would you be willing to give up if you could be guaranteed to keep your remote work situation? What did you find in Forbes, Dave?
The top three things. Number one is to give up vacations. Number two, forego PTO. So no sick days as well, right? No personal time off, vacations.
How do you do that?
And then number three, agree to drastic pay cuts as much as 40%.
Wow. So that tells me, all three of those things tell me that remote work is really valuable to a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if you were making $100,000 and you will take a $40,000 pay cut to keep working remotely.
801-575-TALK. Hi, Rob.
How you doing today?
Good. Thanks for holding the line. It's great to talk to you. What would you be willing to give up to keep a remote work situation?
Well, I don't work remote. I would like to see these people go back. I mean, you nailed it on. You nailed it on the head on a lot of different. Just listening to you guys, talking about all these empty buildings we're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
Life's so expensive. Life's so expensive because we're wasting all this money through government. We really got to change course. Remember the times when you could live on one income in a family and one of the parents could stay home and raise the children? What are we doing different now that we weren't doing then that's causing this? Everyone needs to put their head in a good spot and think about it. I mean, you're talking about vacation pay and PTO. When you work in the private sector, you don't get that stuff. You got to perform. You got to produce that yourself.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things have to change. Right now, this government has wasted more money than I've ever seen in my lifetime, especially in the last 4 years and years prior. So we got to get a handle on this.
Well, and the dollar figures get so big when you talk about, wasting money. I think it's difficult from our perspective, to really know, where the money is going, where it's being spent. And it's frustrating. I hear that with Rob's phone call. It's frustrating. What would you be willing to give up, Dave, if you were guaranteed? Now, you did work remote, so you're probably the best person of the two of us to talk about this. What would you be willing to give up, if anything, to stay remote?
Yeah, I'm going to be totally honest. I did not like working remotely. I was surprised because I thought it would be amazing. I saved a ton of money, not having to commute, not eating out, eating at home. I saved hundreds. It was like I got a significant raise working remotely. I will be honest, we felt it. And that was a big boon to our family. That was great. I could not wait to come back to the office.
Why?
I was so lonely.
Aww.
I was so lonely. It was a lone man on an island. And all the things that you described, that being able to pop in, ask a question, the face-to-face, the interaction, the human interaction. Sure, there's some downsides, right? You can be a distraction, no question, just like I can. But it was a much more fulfilling and rewarding experience coming back to the office. So I did not like the remote work experience. That being said, I can see why people would give up, say, 20% or 30% of their salary to work remotely, because the math might just work better.
There are days on I-15 when I want to call and say I'll give up 100% of my salary just not to have to dodge this commute. People are willing to give up their vacations because they're taking vacations while working from home because they can work from anywhere. So vacation is an easy thing to give up. That just dropped in on our text line at 57500, and I think that plays into your hand real well, Dave, about this what you said before the show, and you think people get jealous of remote workers.
Totally. Okay, so I was working remotely for 16 months, and I will tell you, I never once went up and broadcasted from my in-laws' house at Bear Lake because I felt guilty. I felt like, well, that would be vacationing with a little side hustle of my full-time job. So I felt guilty. I look back on it, I'm like, why not? There's no difference broadcasting in Kaysville or Bear Lake. What I do in my free time is what I do in my free time. I don't have to justify that to anybody. But I was afraid of the perception. The day was just going to be out there on
and
vacation.
I'd be jealous.
Yeah. And how could you not be? If we're being totally honest, if I'm up in Bear Lake or I'm down in St. George golfing in my free time while you're up here freezing in December, would you have been a little bit jealous? Because I certainly would have been.
801-575-TALK is the number to call. We got Tony from Kaysville. Hi, Tony.
Hi. I think as far as the remote work situation goes, I think you do away with a lot of the middle class when you implement this so abruptly. I don't think the people at the top are necessarily the ones getting affected by this change. And so that's my perspective. Like you're saying, it affects families. It has greater ramifications, especially when it's implemented so abruptly.
So, Tony, I'm not trying to interpret things for you, but what I'm taking away from this is you're worried about people who are making $60,000 or $70,000 a year, and then they've got more of a financial burden thrust upon them, whether that's paying, for gas, that's paying for wear and tear in their car, that's paying for daycare.
Oh, absolutely. You're eroding the so-called middle class. That $60,000 to $80,000 range.
It was
go away.
Yeah.
It was a significant difference working remotely. I saved a ton of money by not driving into the office. It wasn't costing me gasoline. It wasn't costing me wear and tear. The time that came back into my life, right? Because I don't have an hour plus commute every day.
It's interesting you brought up the commute, and this is just so minor compared to what some families are going to have to do when it comes to juggling their budget once they do have to return to work 5 days a week. I understand that, so I'm not trying to diminish this at all. But I realize that I put 50 miles a day on my car driving back and forth to work. That's 250 miles a week at least. That doesn't even include when, I taxi you around in my mom taxi to our remotes. So that's 1,000 miles a month on my car. It's 12,000 miles a year. Well, that's a new set of tires a lot more quickly. Now, I love I've always loved working in the newsroom. Mm-hmm. If I didn't, I wouldn't have been doing this for darn near 38 years. I think that's how long, since the late 80s, I've been in newsrooms. I love it. But it does start to add up. And I noticed that the other day when my tire started to leak air. Thanks so much for your calls. Always great to talk to you guys. Straight ahead, it's day 2 of Utah's 2025 legislative session. So we're going to dive into plans to combat rising home prices in Utah. This is a new plan. I hadn't heard of this one before. We're going to get Utah's Minority Leader, Representative Angela Romero, calling the show live next.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
A few years ago, I had the spring on my garage door bust. And because I'm not an engineer or garage door technician, I didn't really realize how heavy these garage doors are. And I actually tried to repair it myself, and it was a terrible idea. Yeah. It was very dangerous. So I'm glad I know about advanced garage doors now, because I would never do that again. I would make sure I call the experts.
Because they do have those certified technicians, Dave, who are available 24/7 with same-day service. That's so important when you get in a jam like that, to be able to just dial them up and say, hey, I need help. Can you send somebody out ASAP?
Yeah, can you reinstall this spring? Can you do it properly? You wanted that done by a certified professional, which is exactly what Advanced Garage Doors has. Certified technicians available 24/7 with same-day service.
And they also have that lifetime warranty on all residential doors and parts. So you'll get that peace of mind knowing that your garage door is always protected, as long as you follow the recommendations.
And when they install that door or motor, that's going to come with a free inspection and tune-up once a year.
Really super easy to get a hold of, and they'd love to hear from you. Let me give you it's a newer phone number, so let me give that to you. You can put it in your phone, so you can have it just in case, you have a Dave experience with your garage door. 801-989-3667. 801-989-DOOR.
Or check them out online at advanced-door.com.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. Every day, ZipRecruiter helps people who are actively looking for jobs like yours, so it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Things are just better with a partner or a friend. And when it comes to losing weight, Soda Weight Loss makes it easier than ever to let go of the weight for good.
I'd been wanting to lose weight, and I tried on my own. I'd been seeing things for soda, and so we talked to the nutritionist and loved every bit of it. I couldn't be happier, honestly, with the result.
Join with a partner and only pay for one. Imagine achieving all your weight loss goals together with your partner, and you only pay for one.
I've let go 50 pounds, and I don't have the cravings that I used to have.
I would definitely recommend soda. It's because it works. I even recommended it to my daughter, and she's on her journey now.
Just go and look at the almost 9,000 Google reviews about soda weight loss. Lose the weight without injections, without medications, without hunger. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948.
Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Dukes has been serving the community for over 75 years. From January 23rd to 25th, don't miss the largest event of the year, a 50% off closeout sale on select jewelry. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Dukes can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Dukes Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Dukes Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving or redesigning old favorites into something new, get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Dukes Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Dukes Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
It's 9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour. The Eagle Mountain City Council is taking a second look at proposed changes to city code that would allow nuclear plants and other energy production projects after multiple residents voiced concerns. They're worried that there will be side effects from radiation, nuclear waste won't be stored correctly, and agricultural operations will be interrupted. The proposed changes would allow battery energy storage systems, natural gas power plants, solar energy products, electrical substations, power lines, and small modular nuclear reactors. It'll be put on the back burner and discussed in later meetings. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. LA County officials are calling for an investigation into possible errors with some evacuation alerts during the deadly wildfires in Southern California.
County Supervisor Catherine Barger is demanding that independent investigation into how those emergency alerts on people's mobile phones went out the night January 7th, especially in the Eaton fire, which ripped through Pasadena and Altadena, destroying over 7,000 structures and all 17 deaths.
ABC's Matt Gutman reporting. The rest of the U.S. is dealing with record low temperatures. Businesses are taking action to protect people in the extreme cold. ABC's Chuck Sievertson reports.
Shelters and warming centers are available across Connecticut, and transportation can be arranged if needed, says Governor Ned Lamont. Also warning not to leave pets out in frigid temps because they can get frostbite and hypothermia just like people. Heating oil company delivery drivers in New Hampshire are working overtime amid a surge in demand as nighttime temperatures dip to near or below zero.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 122 points to 44,148. Coming up, we still have delays on I-15 in Draper and, of course, that cold weather dealing with. Traffic and weather together coming up next. KSL News Time 9:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Got an I-15 crash that's caused emergency traffic last hour, but we still have leftover slowdowns between 106th and 123rd South as you pass the crash over on the right shoulder. A little bit of a northbound slowdown near the Bangerter exit. And I'm looking in Utah County where traffic is really backed up westbound on Pioneer Crossing. And the slowing actually starts, it looks like, closer to almost to the freeway, but it's backed up all the way out to Saratoga Road, 9150 west, depending on how you look at that sign. So a lot of delay going west in Lehigh. Murdoch Auto Team is celebrating 100 years of winter journeys at Murdoch Chevrolet. Right now, take up to $6,500 off a 2025 Silverado or up to $9,000 off a new Suburban. Today will be another cold day, but the sun will be out. Highs expected to hit the mid-30s. Right now, your temperatures are 23 degrees in Salt Lake City, much colder in Ogden, 18 degrees, and 25 degrees in Provo. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories.
Dave,
on KSL News Radio.
Dave, I'm sitting over here just Googling what the median sale price for homes in Utah was in December, and I pulled up the redfin.com website. Get this, $562,000 was the median sale price for homes in Utah in December. And it says that's a 5% increase year over year. We know that Utah's Capitol Hill, the governor, has had an eye on the housing crisis, trying to find fixes to it ASAP because housing is so expensive for Utah families that they got to address this. And the Utah Democrats have also laid out their priorities on the Hill for this session, which we're in day 2 of the Utah general session on the Utah State Legislature. And one of the priorities is dealing with the housing crisis for the Democrats, as it is the Republicans. So in a moment, we're going to speak to Utah's Minority Leader, Angela Romero, about what the Democrats see as a fix. But you also caught something else on their list of priorities that interested you, which was solar power.
Sustainability is a big priority for the Democrats, and one that resonates with me, and I think a lot of Utahns here is, okay, well, look, how does it affect me? How does it apply to me? Because it's kind of difficult to think big picture of coal, right? How we produce energy in this state. What really matters to me is, how am I going to heat my home? How am I going to charge my electric vehicle? How am I going to do some of these things? So one of those ways that's very popular of powering a home is solar panels. And that's one of the things that Democrats have brought up about maybe easing some regulations or finding some consistency when it comes to solar panels. Representative Angela Romero joins us right now, the House Minority Leader. Representative Romero, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. And I know you're just 24 hours in on this session, but can you walk us through some of your priorities when it comes to solar and solar panels?
Well, Representative Owens probably should have did this interview because that's his bill. But I've been in the legislature now for 12 years, and I've served on public utilities. And, our energy resource has been huge. And as we know, coal and gas have increased in price. And actually, solar is a lot less to purchase. And so we've seen that price, and it's going to come at us through Rocky Mountain Power. So there's going to be a lot of conversations about just how we do energy. But I think what Representative Owens is trying to do is make it consistent when it comes to solar. As long as I've been here, we've done everything to prevent people from net metering to other things, to when they're producing their own energy and how it sits on the grid, because we want to make sure that, we're not causing a blackout. So there's a lot of things that go with the solar component, but most importantly is we need to do something about our grid infrastructure to make sure it can carry the clean energy that we produce, as well as how do we transition with traditional energy and bring in renewables into those conversations.
Well, and solar is a little bit tricky because are we talking about the solar panels on top of our roof? Is that going to be the prioritization, or are we going to, have these solar farms in the West Desert, so to speak, that covers acres to produce that kind of thing? Like, what is the vision here in Utah?
That's a good question, and those are ongoing conversations. We're in day 2, and so we need to have those conversations. But I think definitely Utah Clean Energy, and there are some other organizations that have made solar work. Their building is off of solar, and they have battery storage. And so I think we can't limit our conversation when we're talking about energy. I think we have to look at what we can do with battery storage now, what we can do with solar. And, the storage has always been the concern of many of my colleagues. But coal is kind of fading away. And how do we make sure that we're keeping economic development and ways for people to stay in rural Utah where they don't have to leave their hometown, that there is an economic opportunity to get a job and to be able to support their families, because that goes into home prices. And as we know through the Utah Foundation, when they did, the biggest issue for most Utahns is housing availability.
Yeah.
We have several members that will be renting bills, but it depends on who you are. If you're on the higher income bracket, you're worried about the first home buyer plan, so you're worried about your kids having a home. But if you're not making as much money, you're just worried about, can I pay my rent? Is there even an option for me to buy a home? But how am I even going to be able to pay my rent and not be penalized if my rent's late and then I get into this big debt, and the next thing you know, I'm being sent a notice from an attorney and I owe $3,000 because I was late on a payment for my rent and I'm kicked out of my apartment. Where do I go? So these are really critical issues that we have to talk about as a state, and it's not going to go anyway anytime soon.
Well, let's take a little just deeper into that for just a moment. Utah House Minority Leader, Representative Angela Romero, on the line with us right now, day 2 of the legislative session. Let's talk about this. I've seen a bill from Representative Tyler Clancy. It's House Bill 149. It says in general it would ban corporations and companies from buying single-family homes in Utah. So we talk about that, and then I look at the Utah Democrats' priorities, which is posted on the website, the Utah Democrats' website. You talk about housing and institutional investors gouging our home prices, and that's right there on the website, and that the Democrats will work to limit their impact on our housing market. Just how does that work? Is that are the Democrats interested in maybe limiting or banning investors from buying single-family homes, or what are you thinking on that?
I personally support Representative Clancy's idea of doing that, and we will have to have those conversations as a whole legislature. But it is problematic when you have these big corporations buying up homes, and we can look at Moab, we can look at some other places where it's really hurt their economy and the people that are the everyday worker there. So that is something we're going to do. But as House Democrats, we're the super minority, so we're going to have to work with our majority colleagues to get any of these ideas over the finish line.
Representative Romero, thank you for joining us from the Utah House Minority. Thank you.
What's your thought on this proposal? Let's talk specifically. Let me bring up HB 149, House Bill 149. It's a proposal right now. Things are just getting started up there on the Hill. In short, ban corporations and companies from buying single-family homes in Utah. The institutional investors classified as partnerships, corporations, companies, and trusts cannot purchase single-family homes or detached houses on individual plots of land. Now, that's a short version of what probably is a really long bill. But we've talked a lot about investors purchasing homes, from Wall Street investors purchasing homes on Main Street. What are your thoughts on that's a tricky one for me.
Right, because I don't want to compete against an investor. Right. If you've gathered together 100 people and they've thrown a bunch of money into this and they want to invest into real estate, they're going to be able to outbid me, no question. They'll throw an extra $30,000 at it. It's a rounding error to them. I'm going to lose probably every single time in a bidding war to an institutional investor. I absolutely think that's a problem. That being said, do I want my 401k to be invested in the housing market? Do I want to have that kind of diversity in a portfolio? 100% I do. Of course I do. That's good for my long-term investments. Now, it may be bad if I'm trying to buy a home, but I do want my investment portfolio to include real estate and rental properties.
So I'm thinking of this more from a seller's perspective.
Yes.
If an investor comes along and wants to pay cash for my home, am I being greedy?
Right. Yes.
Am I being
and
greedy?
they're paying you a premium in cash.
But there I am pricing my kids out.
Totally.
I mean,
100%.
I am so conflicted by this. So let's take live calls. Thumbs up or thumbs down to the idea of investors buying homes in Utah. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. I want to see if you guys need to weigh in on this next.
Keep your home's HVAC running smoothly year-round with Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. At Golden Rule, we live by a higher standard, treating others the way we want to be treated. That's why we offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you're not happy, we're not happy. Trust us for dependable services in the Valley. Visit goldenrulephc.com.
We obey the rules to live by. Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling.
At Trio Senior Living, older adults aren't slowing down. They're just getting started. The Prime Fit Wellness Program expands wellness beyond the gym into every aspect of community life. Whatever your goals, the team at Trio Senior Living has got your back, so you can put your best foot forward. Join Trio Senior Living at the Winter Carnival, January 25th from noon to 2 p.m. We hope to see you there.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Dave and Dujanovic.
So Dave and I have spent a lot of time on this show talking about Utah's housing crisis. Just looked up the median home sale price from December 2024, it's like $560,000, $562,000. 801-575-TALK, as we're talking to Representative Angela Romero about Democrats' priorities on Capitol Hill this session, and we just touched on a couple. We'll go more in depth on this one in the days and weeks ahead. But the one we were talking about that I was particularly interested in is a proposal by Representative Tyler Clancy. And on its face, just the long and short of it is it could ban corporations and companies from buying single-family homes in Utah. Now, we could spend 10 minutes talking about, is this legal, is this not legal? I mean, I just want to talk about this idea because I'm really conflicted about this.
And you should be. And I should be. And everyone should be talking about this because this is a real problem. But it's a fairly recent problem. Institutional investors. Can I throw out some numbers that I just saw? The Government Accountability Office was looking at institutional investors. So basically the fat cats that are coming together to buy up properties. If you go back to 2011, so just 14 years ago, you didn't have one institutional investor that owned more than 1,000 homes. Right now, you've got 450,000 single-family homes that are owned between a handful, 4 or 5 different investment groups.
In Utah?
No. This is across the country. So this is a nationwide problem. So we went from 1,000 institutional investor homes to 450,000.
They're interested in real estate. Yeah.
It's exploding.
Yeah.
This is a real problem that we have to address right now.
And I'm suppose what happens is that these investment groups will just turn around and lease these homes out.
Yes.
Or maybe they sit on them or flip it. Okay, flip the home. 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK. Weigh in. What do you think about this idea, this proposal? It could ban, major corporations and companies from buying single-family homes in Utah. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Here's why I'm conflicted. Because as a seller, I would love it if somebody showed up at my door and said, I'm going to pay cash for your home. We'll close in a week.
Okay,
right?
You and I both sold homes in the last couple of years. If an institutional investor came in and said, we will give you $40,000 more than your asking price. We're going to be whatever bid you have out there. We're going to tack on another $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. You'll have it by end of business today. We can close immediately, cash offer. How do you say no to that?
It feels enticing, and at the same time, it feels really greedy.
It totally feels greedy.
Because I also advocate for my kids to be able to live in Utah if that's what they choose to do. Yeah, they can live in Utah, sure. But I would also love it if they would be able to afford a home of their own in Utah. And if the median home price in December 2024 was indeed $560,000+, that's expensive.
Aaron in Logan, what do you think about institutional investors?
Well, I have been renting my entire adult life. I've never had the option of even affording a home, and I make stupid money now, and I still feel like I will never be able to own a home because of institutional investment. I'm just your average citizen. I'm no expert by any means, but I do have Google, and knowledge is free. So I Googled how many vacant homes are there in Utah, and there is over 100,000 vacant homes in this state.
Interesting. Thanks, Aaron. Hey, Jake. What do you think about this idea of capping, or not allowing investors to buy up single-family homes in Utah?
I think it would be a challenge for new home or first-time homeowners to get into the housing market. I mean, my wife and I, we've been in our first home for only 2 years now. It's a townhome out in Magna, but the only reason we predictably got in was because our community builder, D.R. Horton, was committed to allowing homes to be first bought up by homeowners, by families, not by investment companies. And I think that there's a strategy to that.
Yeah.
If we want to look at planning, if you want to look at planning and expanding cities, I think there's wisdom in when a home is built that you first grant the opportunities, say within the first 6 months to a year, to families.
And there are a lot of communities and, in fact, HOAs that are even moving in that direction. Got more phone calls. Valerie, hi.
Hi. I definitely think they should put a limit on companies buying the houses. We moved here from Seattle, and it was rampant. It was companies from China would come up and buy up neighborhoods, and they would leave them empty. The grass would get overgrown. The house would just sit empty because they were just using it as pretty much a stock. They would just invest and then sit on it, and it was really horrible for the people there because we had a major housing shortage, and it drove up the prices like crazy.
So maybe look to other cities. Look to other cities and see what they've done and what has happened in those cities. We've got more phone calls, Dave.
Brett in Lehigh, what do you think?
So I'm of the opinion that there is a need that is being filled by these corporations. Maybe it's people who can't afford to buy a house, because if the need was not there for rentals, would they still be buying them? Are they buying them and sitting on them, or are they buying them and renting them to people who cannot afford to purchase the home?
Yeah, it's a great point. And when I look at it from an investment point of view, I absolutely want my long-term investments to involve and contain contracts and from investments in real estate. Of course I want that. It's stable. It's reliable. It's regenerative income. It comes in every single month. So I think it's a very smart long-term investment.
And it is something that Capitol Hill is considering. We just spoke with Representative Angela Romero about the possibility that Capitol Hill is going to debate whether corporations should be allowed to buy single-family homes in Utah.
It is problematic when you have these big corporations buying up homes, and we can look at Moab, we can look at some other places where it's really hurt their economy and the people that are the everyday worker there.
Final call from Leroy in West Valley. What do you think, Leroy?
No, I don't think investors should be allowed to buy neighborhood homes, small homes, because then they come and rent them to just anybody, and all the small neighborhoods are being destroyed because they rent them to, and they get 2 and 3 and 4 families living in one house and full of junk and full of cars parked all over, And therefore,
yeah, and that could be like an ordinance situation for a city, but certainly a lot of different opinions about this.
That being said, if I'm selling my home and there's an investor that comes in that'll pay top dollar cash offer, how do you say I can't have that? That I'm going to have to take less money from a less reliable buyer, and that may fall through, that may ruin my future prospects and maybe getting into another home. You're hamstringing me as a seller.
Next, in the 10 o'clock hour, on Utah's Capitol Hill, lawmakers doing what they can to crack down on social media use and teens. Well, across the country, one teen has tackled the problem of his smartphone with an experiment of his own.
I knew that something had to change because I was not getting my work done. I was very anxious. I was biting my nails a lot.
Straight ahead in the 10 o'clock hour, the flip phone experiment by a group of teens and how it ended.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on a KSL Teacher Tribute Wall presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
Let's talk about soft water. Soft water is something that I knew of from a very young age because that was my job, was to grab the bags of rock salt when my mom went shopping. Then I had to tote them into the house, empty them into the soft water bucket, and it was backbreaking work for a little 13-year-old, right? I mean, 50-pound bags on each shoulder that I had to bring in. Well, with Kinetico water softener systems, they are so efficient. The way they are designed, they use 2/3 less salt than everybody else. It's just so highly efficient. You get all the benefits of that 24/7 soft water. Feels so great on your skin, is great for your laundry, your dishes are sparkly clean, all of those good things behind the wall. The plumbing, it's easier on the pipes because soft water is really beneficial. We've loved it in our family. We love the way it makes our skin feel. We really struggle with dry skin, and soft water has made as big a difference as anything has in our entire home. So we've loved our Kinetico soft water system. If you're interested, go ahead and reach out to them. Let them come out to your house, show you the difference that soft water makes. 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600. They're an authorized Kinetico dealer. Check them out online, too, at softwaterutah.com.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Imagine struggling with a slow, outdated computer that takes forever to load anything, that randomly freezes up and is filled with viruses and malware.
Now picture yourself with a powerful desktop or laptop that runs smoothly and efficiently, making your work and entertainment seamless. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Sometimes when our furnace stops working, it's something simple we can fix ourselves, if we only knew how. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the next time your furnace stops working, before you call a company out to fix it, try this first. Go shut the furnace down and make sure your air filter is clean. Go around the house and make sure the vents are open and there's nothing blocking the return air. If it's been a while since you've changed the batteries in your thermostat, go ahead and do that too. Then go turn the furnace back on, and if it stays on, you're probably good. If it stops working again, you're probably going to want a technician to check it out. If you don't know one, Any Hour Services has a special offer for any homeowners listening. One of our HVAC technicians will diagnose and troubleshoot your furnace for only $29. Then they'll explain what they found and present you with repair options. And don't worry, our technicians service all brands. Call Any Hour Services and let them know you heard about this $29 troubleshooting special on the radio. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: home prices rose in every major metropolitan area last year. KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce has the latest data from Redfin.
If you're in the market for a home in Utah, you might find this hard to believe, but Utah wasn't the worst place for price increases nationwide. That honor goes to Cleveland, where Redfin says home prices jumped 15% in 2024 from the year before.
For the month of December, home prices were up about 0.5% nationwide, a much slower pace than earlier in the year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. We're getting more insights today on President Trump's tariff plan for Chinese-made goods. The CEO of the company that makes Tonka trucks and Care Bears says consumers should be ready to see increased prices.
There's a little bit of a myth that tariffs are paid by the country of export, but they're really paid by the country of import and the people involved in importing.
Today, the president says he's mulling a 10% tariff on Chinese imports that could start next month. The Utah Jazz made a trade, sending 3 future first-round draft picks to the Suns in exchange for Phoenix's unprotected first-round pick in 2031. KSLSports.com says the Suns will get the least favorable first-round picks Utah has in 2025, 2027, and 2029. Not to worry, Jazz fans. The team still has 11 first-round picks over the next 7 years. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up another 118 points today to 44,146. Coming up, we've got a lot of traffic cleared out, but a lot of haze in the air. Traffic and weather together coming up next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything.
Nothing is everything.
Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. And visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Woo, up top, bike shop. Yeah.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messelthorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo.
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by MyStyle Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. We still have a crash on the right shoulder on South 15 going from 72nd down to 90th South. You'll pass by it. It's all the way on the right shoulder, so there isn't any impact on the delay. Both directions of I-15 are fine between Point of the Mountain and the 215 South interchange. Bangor just a little bit slow right now going north near the 201 freeway. Murdoch Auto Team is celebrating 100 years of winter journeys at Murdoch Chevrolet. Right now, take up to $6,500 off a 2025 Silverado or up to $9,000 off a new Suburban. Our high today should reach 35 degrees, and the haze will keep building until we get a storm on Saturday that could drop some snow on the valley floor. Right now, it is 25 degrees, a couple of degrees warmer in Salt Lake City. From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, I'm Andy Farnsworth. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Way across the country in a state far, far away, there's a group of teens that went through a flip phone experiment. And we're going to take a deep dive into how that experiment shook out for that group of teenagers. It is a phenomenal story. And it comes at a time when Utah lawmakers are doing what they can to crack down on social media companies and the content they provide to kids. We spoke yesterday when we were on the Hill to a couple of senators about what they're doing, including State Senator Todd Weiler, who wants to make sure that the app stores are age verifying kids.
So Instagram for a decade has said that their content is safe for 12-year-olds. I don't know if you've been on Instagram lately, but there's a lot of filthy material on Instagram. It's not straight out pornography like Twitter has, but it is not safe for 12-year-olds, and it's probably not safe for 16 or 17-year-olds either.
And for the last couple of years, lawmakers have been trying to figure out, and they've been suing social media companies. Age verification is at the top of the list, but there's a laundry list of things they want to do to hold these social media companies accountable. I have always been, listen, I appreciate what they're trying to do, and I get why they're trying to do it, but the solution is far simpler than we're making it out to be. We don't need to change the way Instagram does their algorithm. We don't need to make sure Google is playing by the rules that we want. We stop giving our kids smartphones. Solution, boom. It's so easy. And you can give them a flip phone. But I want to be able to reach out to my kids. I want to text them a flip phone does that. Give them a call. Send them a text. But it removes some of these apps that are so addictive.
Well, and Dave, you're kind of in the same camp as a 14-year-old student named Ben back east. CBS News spent time with Ben and a group of his friends. Now, remember, Ben is 14. He has a smartphone, and a little while ago, he decides it's not working for him anymore. So let's listen to Ben's story when he switches to a flip phone.
I knew that something had to change because I was not getting my work done. I was very anxious. I was biting my nails a lot.
It all started last February when Ben lost his cell phone on the school bus.
I was without a phone for sort of 2 days, and I realized how my days were just so much longer and more full.
So much better, the lacrosse goalie made the radical choice to buy a flip phone.
I feel very proud of myself.
Isn't that funny how he described that? It just felt like my days were longer because he was spending about 5 hours a day on his phone. Now he's down to 30 minutes.
Yeah, half of teens, according to studies, spend 4 hours or more on their screens. So, and we know that through studies that screen time, the more screen time they have, the more anxious they are. They could wrestle with depression. You and I talked extensively yesterday about my experience scrolling social media recently, where I felt like the algorithm just picked up on a topic that I was curious about. And it kept feeding me over and over and over videos of that same topic where it's getting into my head. I'm like, I got to put this down because it's starting to drive me nuts.
It's like the little kid, like, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? You're like, yes, I get it. I get it.
So CBS News interviews Ben, and then they sit down with Ben and his group of teen friends. So they ask 4 of his friends to join him on the flip phone experiment for 1 week. And the first question they ask is, what's your screen time, like before the flip phone?
What is your average daily screen time on your phone?
10.5 hours.
10.5 hours? What are you doing on your phone for 10 hours a day?
Watching Gossip Girl and TikTok.
Oh, 10.5 hours. That's double the amount of time I sleep would get every night.
Isn't that wild? 10.5 hours. If you're sleeping 7-8 hours, you only have 4 or 5 hours that you are not looking at your screen in an entire day.
So would that mean if you're in school, you're probably looking at it in school?
Watching Gossip Girl.
Yeah, after school, and you're in the car. So they get these 4 kids to give up those smartphones that they have for flip phones. And remember, this is for 1 week. Let's listen to what happened.
Hand over the phones. Let's see. It's going to be okay. Thanks, Jameson. Are you ready? Here's your new flip phone. Do you know how to text on there?
No.
No. It's day 2. It was like hard because I didn't have my phone.
Carson didn't make it. He asked for his phone back within 24 hours.
What have you been doing without your smartphone?
I just sat there and like stared at my wall until I'd practice.
How do I add a new contact?
The others stuck it out, sending in mostly positive reviews.
I have been sleeping a lot better. I'm a lot less tired during the day. I don't have my Apple Pay, which really doesn't help.
I finish homework so easily and faster.
Hi.
Hello
there. How are you?
7 days later, we reconvened.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
And Jameson, what was the positive for you?
Well, I talked to like my parents a lot more and I went out a lot more with like my friends.
What did you learn from this?
I think that like not your whole life should be on your screen. There should be things just off of that.
I think it helped them even in ways they don't realize.
And that was Ben at the end telling the reporter he thinks the experiment helped his friends in ways they don't realize. What do you think those ways are?
Oh, so many different ways. One thing that stands out to me right out of the gate is when you first got the kids to give up the phones, they're kind of excited, they're playing with the new flip phone, and then one of the kids, the 14-year-old, doesn't make it 24 hours.
No.
He's like, never mind, I want my phone back. You're like, why? I'm just staring at the wall. Like, that's literally how he described it. Like, just staring at the wall, not doing anything.
So we're raising a generation of kids, I think, that don't know how to be bored. I was at times I was the boredest kid on the block.
Yeah,
you know, and you just find things to do, right? You know, I would do art, like a sketch, or get together with friends on the block and go out and ride bikes. I mastered riding a skateboard.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was good, Dave. I could do flips and everything.
I knew how to break a pinky. I learned that. Yeah, that was nice. That was
I think
a good
we're
experience.
raising a generation of kids who always need to be attached to something. And what I like about Ben and his flip phone experiment, this 14-year-old, he's going on a year with the flip phone.
It doesn't have to be something as drastic as completely getting rid of all your social media. I still have an Instagram account that I will use on like my computer, but it's more about doing small things that you can bring together to just fix that constant need.
To me, what I like about that is it's a multifaceted solution to a really, I think, heavy problem for a lot of families. And that is that with a flip phone, you can't really you can't access the internet, right? So then you are able to mitigate the amount of time you just doom scroll because it's like right there in front of you. And on top of that, you're more in the moment. And you heard Jameson, his buddy, say, I'm talking to my parents more. And I love that. Jameson also said in another part of that story that he's getting his homework done. And he felt like he was starting to kind of struggle in some of the subjects. And so he's now getting his homework done. I think this experiment is phenomenal. And it's actually had me thinking, because my kids are grown, we've talked about that a million times, how I can better navigate my use of social media and I'll call it smartphone addiction that I've developed over the last couple of years.
So I tried this recently. Yeah.
Tell me.
Totally unrelated to this story. This is a story we just found. So it just happens to coincide. So I noticed I was spending too much time on TikTok, right? So 2 weeks ago, I thought, I'm just going to put a time limit on it. I just need to put a time limit on TikTok. So I did 20 minutes per day. That was the limit I put. So I looked back, and I'd kind of forgotten I haven't been tracking it, but it'll pop up and say, hey, your time's exceeded. Do you want to extend? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll extend a little bit. So I wanted to see, what did it look like before the ban, the self-imposed ban, and what does it look like now? So this is what it looked like. I was spending about 8 hours a week on TikTok before I put that 20-minute ban. And then the next week, it dropped down to 4. So I cut it in half, went from 8 hours on TikTok down to 4 hours. And then last week, it dropped down to 3 hours.
And for the whole week.
For the entire week.
That's good.
And then right now, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm at about 1 hour. So what I see myself doing is I'm still going on to TikTok. And at first I would kind of extend because you can say, hey, extended an extra 15 minutes.
So it's like a snooze alarm. The reverse of a snooze alarm.
That's exactly
you keep hitting
what
the snooze alarm, you get a little more sleep. But in this case, you hit the snooze on the time limit, you get a little more time on TikTok. Okay.
Yeah, you get 20 minutes, but they're like, do you really want 15 more? I'm like, yeah, I'll take 15 more. You want 15 more? Yeah, I'll take 15 more. But what I'm seeing myself do is move away from it. And I'm breaking the habit little by little. So we're focusing on 14-year-olds. We're talking about 8th graders right here. They gave up their smartphone for a week, went to a flip phone, and they walk away and they're having pretty positive reactions to this. Well, I will tell you, Deb, I do not miss TikTok. I'm not like craving those extra, 4 hours a week or 5 hours a week that I was spending on TikTok.
I want to take calls, 801-575-TALK. If you're using a flip phone, you get to the front of the line. 801-575-TALK. I'd be curious to know if you're like Dave, if you're starting to pull away more and more from your smartphone for whatever reason. And if you've gone with a flip phone, more power to you. Like I said, Caitlin, our producer, will put you to the front of the line.
So one of the things, again, 801-575-TALK. I'm with you, Deb. Let's hear from people. If you have a flip phone, we want to hear your glorious story.
Yeah.
Do you play Snake still? I love Snake on my flip phone. I played Snake all the time. But when I was going through my TikTok numbers and saying, okay, well, did I just replace TikTok with X? Yeah, at first that's almost exactly what I did. You could see, I reduced my TikTok and then my Twitter. It jumped up. It went up. So I'm like, well, that doesn't really count because it's a direct correlation. Mm-hmm. But now, in the next week, I saw, okay, my X usage stayed normal to what I usually use every single week, and then my TikTok still goes down. So I can see, sure, I'm filling it a little bit, but overall, I've reduced my social media usage, and I don't miss it.
I have started to do something that I've been addressing this too, kind of privately, Dave. I haven't talked about this yet with you. But I've been addressing my use of social media and just my general addiction to checking emails all day long, which I think, I kind of write that off as I'm just a responsible employee, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just checking email. But at some point, I've realized I got to start kind of putting that down and not feeling like I've always got to keep up with everything in my life. So what I've been doing is leaving my phone at home sometimes. Now, it was like, what are you doing going out of the house without a phone? Well, remember, I was raised in a generation where we just didn't
No phones.
have this.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten what life is like to not carry a phone around with me. Although it's kind of like riding a bike. Once you do it, now this is just for short trips, okay? I'm not trekking across the West Desert without a phone, okay? So that's not, but it's for short trips. I'm running to the bank. I still go to the bank. Sorry. I'm running to the post office. Yeah, I still go to the post office. And it's been glorious. Honestly, it's been glorious. So I talked to my therapist about this. I said, I feel like I have got to start weaning myself off of social media. I've got to stop weaning myself away. I got to start weaning myself off of carrying my phone around everywhere with me. And he's like, put it down for a nap. Start with 10 minutes, start with 20 minutes. Now, there are days on the weekends where my phone will live at the bottom of my purse most of the day. However, I find myself making up for lost time on social media at night as I'm going to bed and starting to doom scroll. So I'm going to replace that. I went out and bought a bunch of books at a secondhand store. I'm going to start reading hardback books, like not from a device. That's another thing. I really want to divorce myself from being overwhelmed by devices. And what this experiment has done, and by the way, we're talking about this experiment, this 14-year-old boy, Ben, in New Jersey, really launched, and CBS News took to it. He gave up his smartphone for a flip phone.
It doesn't have to be something as drastic as completely getting rid of all your social media. I still have an Instagram account that I will use on my computer, but it's more about doing small things that you can bring together to just fix that constant need.
And then CBS convinced a group of his friends, to give up their smartphones for flip phones. And some of them found that they really liked it. Like there were some benefits to it. It's been a long time since I've used a flip phone. I don't think I'm quite ready to give up my smartphone and trade it in for a flip phone. And the reason is there's other tools on my smartphone. First of all, I think my kids like to check in on me and make sure mom's okay.
Track you, okay.
Yep. I know that at least two of them, maybe three of them, will check my location and make sure I made it to work in the morning.
Yeah.
Which is super
awesome.
Amazing and sweet, right?
Yeah, that's great.
And I like road trips, and they know that. They like to be able to check on me. I like to be able to use, text without taking 45 minutes to tap through a flip phone to text, right? I'd be horrible at that. And I was back in the day. It was hard because I did have a flip phone back in the 90s.
555-221-1333-55.
But I see a future with less smartphone in my life and less social media in my life.
Okay, so one solution I just thought of, have you ever considered having both? Having an iPhone and a flip phone. And I'm not saying carrying around two phones. I'm saying
no.
You have a flip phone because you can actually forward phone calls from your iPhone over to a flip phone. It's pretty easy. So you wouldn't miss any phone calls.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you could leave your phone at home. Or
maybe I would.
take your flip phone so people still can get a hold of you. They don't have to learn a new phone number.
I like
and
that. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, you can totally. You can forward your calls from your iPhone to a flip phone.
Speaking of calls, 801-575-TALK. Hi, John.
Hello.
What do you think about trading in your smartphone for a flip phone?
Well, I've actually turned my smartphone into basically a flip phone.
How?
By using an app called App Block.
Oh.
And what it does is I have ADHD, but I have to have a smartphone for running my business. But I don't need all the apps on there to be tempting me to go to TikTok or to all those different things. So I use App Block, and basically it blocks my whole entire phone except for texting, phone calling, and email.
You have to pay for that, John? Do you have to pay for that? Is there a monthly fee with that?
If you don't pay for it, then you don't get to block as many things. But
Okay.
I pay like $19.99 for a whole year.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Awesome. Thank you.
That's another thing you can do. You can put all these restrictions on your phone. You can dumb it down. You can make it just accessible during certain hours of the day. But I do think there's something valuable about having a physical flip phone because it removes the temptation to take the blocks off. Because you can easily, if you set all the parameters in the world on your phone and the restrictions, all you have to do, type in your code and undo them, and you have instant access to everything. If you literally have an iPhone, you have solved the problem. You don't need to figure out how a pen works in space. You just use a pencil, right? That's how you fix this problem. You take the temptation out of your hands.
Straight ahead, there's a study that shows that Salt Lake City has some of the fastest drive times in the United States. Oh my! If you're in your car, please track for me how many stoplights you hit when we're in the break and give us a call in the next half hour, 801-575-TALK. We're going to take a deep dive into this study, and I'm going to challenge the results of this study straight ahead.
Join the smartest conversation in Utah, the team of analysts and political advisors that make up Inside Sources. Get unfiltered analysis of the new administration, the president's cabinet, and Utah's upcoming legislative session. Inside Sources, weekdays from 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
I love companies that have experience because when you have someone that's been around as long as Master Electrical Service has been around, they've been around since 1954, you've built up a knowledge base. People know them. They've worked with them. They've been in your homes. And Master Electrical Service has joined with another great company to create Mountain Home Services.
Yeah, that's right. And so they've joined together. And Dave, you can actually speak from experience because you've worked with Mountain Home Services.
Yeah, they installed my furnace years ago, and then they do the service on it, and it worked fantastic. It was just humming along, blowing out nice, warm, toasty air. So I've had a great experience with Mountain Home Services.
Think of all the things you can have done, but just making one phone call. I mean, you get your electrical needs taken care of. If you need a new EV charger, you need recessed lighting in your home, maybe you need those outlets replaced. Plus, now that they've joined forces with Mountain Home Services, they can also help you with your HVAC, your heating and air, and your plumbing.
Fireplaces as well.
That's right.
Generators. They have high-end generators for your home. So they really are this one-stop shopping for your home needs. Make sure you reach out to Mountain Home Services. It all comes with an upfront pricing guarantee that includes no hidden fees.
That's right. They're the company we trust, and so can you. Here's the phone number, 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
Or online at mountainhomeservices.com. That's mountainhomeservices.com.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
This January, Ogden is the epicenter of amazing RV deals during the Northern Utah RV Show, January 23rd to the 25th. Inside the Golden Spike Event Center, you'll find unbeatable pricing on new and used travel trailers starting as low as $129 per month on approved credit, and fifth wheels starting as low as $349 per month OAC. You'll also find every remaining new 2024 on clearance during the show. Plus, you can play now and pay later with no payments until April OAC. We'll also have the entire lineup of Go Play travel trailers ready to tour and and take home at the lowest pricing of the year. Start shopping the biggest deals now at NorthUtahRVShow.com. On top of unbeatable pricing, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year RV Fix membership, your fast track to RV service repairs. Get in for free to Ogden's biggest new and used RV sale, the Northern Utah RV Show. 3 days only, January 23rd through the 25th, inside the Golden Spike Event Center. Sponsored by Bish's RV. Stock numbers 81734-87503. Based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 to 240 months. Subject to prior sale. See dealer details.
You wouldn't know it, but most financial advisors are put in a box. I'm Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I want to provide you a little insight about financial advisors. Most financial advisors have to sell what their company requires them to sell, and many advisors have to only adhere to what's called a suitability standard. A suitability standard is a limited standard of care, not requiring what's sold to be best, just suitable. Advisors with this loose standard often have limited investment and product selection. Trajan Wealth is held to a fiduciary standard, which is the highest standard of care in the advisory business. And that's just one of the many reasons we have billions of dollars under our care and attract clients from other advisors. Raise your standards today and call Trajan Wealth. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. We're hearing from the former principal of West High School, who has now resigned after being put on administrative leave. Jared Wright made a Facebook post saying he needs to deal with, quote, pressing family obligations. The school district also released a statement saying the reason they put him on leave was not related to any safety issues, but they didn't provide further reasons. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. We're waiting to hear from a judge in the Idaho College murders case to rule on DNA evidence that prosecutors say ties Brian Kohberger to the crime.
Brian Kohberger's lawyers are arguing that the DNA evidence against their client was gathered illegally and say that it should not be presented to a jury in a death penalty case. They also want the arguments surrounding it to be made public.
ABC's Kana Whitworth says the judge will likely rule this week. President Trump says he's now opened the letter left in the Resolute desk by former President Biden. He told reporters it was, quote, very nice. It was also a bit, quote, inspirational, and it talked about the importance of the job. Mr. Trump says he's thinking about making the letter public. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 117 points. That's almost a little over 0.25% to 44,147. Coming up, a new crash out on 215's west side. Plus, we've got all that haze in the air. Traffic and weather together coming up next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio. If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. We got the crash cleared from South 15 at 7200 South. Then we had one reported over on 215's west side near the 21st South Freeway turnoff. Not having any impact. I can't even see it, but if it's there, it's not causing any slowdowns. The only thing close to a slowdown I'm seeing right now is some Bangerter slowing just before the 21st South Freeway. Join KSL Radio for the 29th Annual Morris Columbus Travel Expo, January 24th through 25th at Mountain America Expo Center. Get great travel prizes and deals. UtahTravelExpo.com. Sunny and cold today and tomorrow, and the haze will continue to build, but we do have a storm heading our way on Saturday, and at the moment, it actually looks like we could get some snow in the valleys. Right now, it is 25 degrees, 28 degrees in Salt Lake City. Temperature keeps going up little bit by little. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Full transparency. I have been frustrated many times trying to cut across downtown Salt Lake City, waiting in traffic for inordinate periods of time at stoplights. But there's a new study out. I caught it on Axios.com. It's by TomTom, and they looked at the 2024, as TomTom's 2024 traffic index. And according to it, maybe my frustrations aren't needed because Salt Lake City has some of the fastest drive times in America.
Shocking everyone that has ever driven in Salt Lake City. Now, I don't know, is this just because we are so insulated, we don't know what real traffic is like what a real lockdown is every single day? That's entirely possible, right? I haven't spent any time in a big city. I haven't experienced this in the country. I live here, right? And I always have lived here. So outside of vacationing, and half my traffic problems are because I just don't know the city and I get lost, and Google Maps has taken me off into some strange detour, but maybe we just have unreal standards.
Stop it. I'm looking straight at 4th West and North Temple. Yeah, that traffic light right there. I'm looking at you. I'm staring at you. Because why in the world at 6:15 in the morning can I not turn left without waiting 3 or 4 minutes to turn left? It gets to the point where I'm tempted to treat it like a 4-way stop. We're going to take calls on this in the next 15 minutes or so, 801-575-TALK. I mean, like, if you think driving through Salt Lake City is the best thing you've ever done, well, I want to hear from you. If you think it's the most frustrating city you've ever driven through, I want to hear from you. But I'm going to challenge this study just a little bit. With the average drive time to go 6 miles in Salt Lake City Center specifically, 6 miles is 10 minutes and 33 seconds. I disagree with that based on my own experience. As somebody who's worked at Broadcast House on 3rd West, I came here to work in the year 2000. So a long time ago, right? When it feels like the city wasn't even as busy then as it is now. One of the worst fates that I could draw all day long was be sent my personal vehicle from Broadcast House here, right across from the Delta Center, to the University of Utah. I was like, oh, not me. I feel like it would be better to go up to 6 North, double back on I-15, over to I-80, then to Foothill and on up, and then cut over to the University of Utah that way. But so often I would find myself waiting at traffic signals to turn left through downtown, like onto Broadway, which is, by the way, 3rd South or 2nd South or whatever. So actually, when I read this study, what I did, Dave, is I went to my Google map and I typed in Huntsman Cancer Institute, because I was a patient up there years ago, still am, but patient up there years ago where I had to go up there quite much more frequently. And it says it's about a 4.5 mile drive, and it will take me 16 minutes to get there right now. So that's longer than what the 6 mile Salt Lake City Center drive is.
Deb, you're right. These numbers are ridiculous. They are not in the ballpark.
Yesterday it was an 18-minute drive according to Google Maps.
Okay, so I broke it down. This is, if your average drive time, if you're driving 6 miles in Salt Lake City Center, okay, so they're saying 6 miles in 10 minutes and 33 seconds. That means your averaging 35 miles an hour. You think you're driving 35 miles an hour on average?
No.
You make one stop and you've just blown that up.
It doesn't include the signals you got to wait for.
Yes.
Crosswalks. And then people who are just crossing.
Jaywalk.
Yeah, thank you. Crossing against the light. I'm like, oh, do you know how long I've waited here? Like, I'm sorry, but could you go walk faster? Walk faster. So New York is slowest in the country. 30 minutes it takes to go 6 miles.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So what am I complaining about? Nothing, right? San Francisco takes you 25 and a half minutes or so to go 6 miles. Honolulu. We're not driving. Are we renting a car in Honolulu? Is that the deal? But if you live there, it's almost 20 minutes to go 6 miles. And then there's Chicago about the same time, in Philadelphia. The fastest city to buzz on through is Thousand Oaks, California. It's a little more than 8 minutes. Little Rock, Arkansas, 9 minutes. Mesa, Arizona, right outside my hometown of Phoenix, 9 minutes and 30 seconds or so. I mean, I think it's like 9.5 minutes, not quite. Mesa, Arizona. That's surprising to me. But one thing I think in downtown Phoenix, if I recall, it's been a long time since I've lived there, there's a lot of one-way streets. We don't have a lot of one-way streets here in downtown Salt Lake City. I think one-way streets move traffic a little bit faster. It's also, it's really hard though. Oh, we have 5th South and, 6th South. Those are one way, which is tricky when people come on that road going the wrong way. I've seen that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's scary.
Very dangerous.
Right.
Yes.
So I think, I wonder though if one-way streets, like I love it coming off of the off-ramp there on I-15 on 6 South. They don't take it very much. I often come up to 6 North, but I love it when I can just breeze through those lights as long as they're timed.
Yes, you can really move along. It's spacious. What's difficult is if you have to cross 5 or 6 lanes of traffic. If you're in the left lane, you got to move all the way over to the right. That's got its own challenges, but nevertheless, one-way streets, theoretically, and I've got some research on this. Good. It says one-way roads can be considered a better design, especially when you're trying to manage high traffic volumes. Well, one of the examples they use is San Francisco, which is number 2 on the list for the slowest, city driving. But, maybe it would be even worse if they didn't have the one point here in Salt Lake, that this may be a possibility where we may need some one-way streets. Improved traffic flow, simplified signal timing, and that's a huge one, right? If you have to go, and we have 1,000,001 signals. We have one, it seems like every single block. Here's a signal. Here's a chance to have to come
always stop and go.
Always stop and go. So if we could simplify the signal timing, get the flow moving, that would be fantastic. It reduces left-hand turns. That right there is one of the biggest causes of crashes. Is the left-hand turn. My wife won't even make left-hand turns. She'll do like the reverse NASCAR, right turn, right turn, right
she's
turn.
Like UPS.
Yeah, 100% like UPS. Yeah, because it's just
they
safer.
Make right turns. Yeah,
she's 100% right. It is way safer. I've taken my life and my family's life in their hands so many times because of an ill-advised left turn. So single one-way roads could reduce left turns, improve traffic flow, and simplify signaling. That's great. Here's the downside. Longer distance to travel, right? Because you have to drive a box, if you want to get somewhere. You can't just turn left and turn right into a place. You have to go around the block, go to the next one-way street.
Oh, yeah.
Back turn.
There's some pre-planning involved.
Yeah. So it's a little clumsy that way. So longer distance traveled, potential for driver confusion, obviously. And if you're not new from the area, you can get a little bit lost. It's less pedestrian friendly.
It is.
Because you have, say, a larger distance to cover one-way street. Yet, you may not have that median where you can stop off and you've got to cross, 7 lanes of a crosswalk.
But generally, it sounds like you'd be in favor of that.
I really like the idea. I think it's just safer. It makes more sense. It's easier to wrap your head around. And once you get comfortable with it, I think it's a lot better.
Well, maybe our callers who are waiting on the line will agree that we need more one-way streets in Salt Lake City. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. I mean, I'm frustrated at times trying to cut across downtown. 801-575-TALK. I think it takes a lot longer than it needs to. How about you? We'll take your live calls in 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Something amazing is happening when power outages strike. Teams are powering through them. That's because CDW Solutions architects are building more resilient IT and electrical infrastructures with Schneider Electric. With EcoCare remote monitoring services and 24/7 support, your organization can do more than keep the lights on. Schneider Electric and CDW make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Schneider Electric.
Purchase a new heating and cooling system from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric, and we'll buy back your old inefficient HVAC system. Save up to $4,500 through tax credits and other discounts when you upgrade to a new energy-efficient HVAC system. Yes offers expert technicians, flexible payment options, and our exceptional service guarantee, ensuring your peace of mind. Request your complimentary consultation from Yes today. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers today from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and I are going to take your live calls at 801-575-TALK. I've kind of vented my frustrations about driving through downtown Salt Lake City for 35 years. I think it's a slower drive, at least for me, according to my Google Maps, than what Axios is reporting on, which is they're just reporting on this new TomTom 2024 traffic index that says Salt Lake City is among some of the fastest cities in the world, or in the nation, excuse me. Driving 6 miles in Salt Lake City through Salt Lake City Center takes about 10 minutes and 33 seconds. Well, I found the drive from Broadcast House here at KSL on 3rd West and North Temple up to the University of Utah to be more like 16 minutes to go about 4.5 miles.
Your numbers are far more realistic, in my opinion. Far more realistic than what they're claiming here. To drive 6 miles in 10.5 minutes, you'd have to average 35 miles an hour. That's not hitting any red lights, not any stop signs. That is just traveling 35 miles an hour from point A to point B. That's how long it would take you to get there. That has never happened in the history of driving downtown.
And you pitched one of the ideas I kind of latched onto, which is maybe getting more one-way streets so the traffic flow can go, like you just said, you pointed down the window during the commercial break. You're like, why don't we just make 3rd West, southbound and 4th West northbound kind of a thing?
Yeah, and we're
example.
We're gridded out in the downtown area in such a perfect way that this makes all the sense in the world. You go to San Francisco and it is like a spaghetti bowl. It can be very complicated. Like, why is this a one-way? Now I'm heading west and north and south all at the same time.
That's why I Uber it.
Oh yeah, let the experts do it.
Yeah.
Now, also think downtown. We're taking your phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Do you like the idea of one-way traffic? Because I'm warming up to it in a very big way. Think of what we've got going downtown right now. On a normal street, you have northbound, southbound. You have bike lanes. You have parking. You may have a median. You may have tracks.
Pedestrians.
You have pedestrians.
Yeah.
That is the most crowded street. How can you have any flow whatsoever?
Hi, Mark. You live in Tooele and you drive truck?
Oh, I did for like 26 years.
but I do Uber and Lyft. And
what are your thoughts on the downtown area? Do you think one-way streets are the answer to stop and go?
Well, yeah, I think one way. I wish they'd do some flex lanes too more.
Oh,
like they do on
in Taylorsville. They have those on 53rd and south in Taylorsville. Yeah.
But the big problem is they have the crosswalks always activated, even at 11 o'clock at night. And I just sit there trying to go pick somebody up, and nobody's there, nobody's walking across, nobody's in the intersection. And it's just like all these crosswalks are always activated,
They're in just in case mode. They're just in case mode. That's my experience. I've completely altered my traffic pattern to Broadcast House in the morning because I used to come in off of 4th West and I would sit forever in a day at that North Temple turn signal.
Watching the countdown, 18, 17,
and then
16.
tracks would come along. And I'd have to wait even longer to get the turn signal. Thanks for the call. Hi, Bob.
Hi. Good morning to you. Appreciate what you folks do and everything.
Oh, that's kind. Thank you, Bob.
Two things. I don't know what the answer is, but I want, as I told your producer who answered the phone, about 2 to 3 years ago, I actually talked to one of the traffic light engineers, and back to where you mentioned it was 6 o'clock in the morning, the light is just red. Well, when I talked to them, hey, it's in the middle of the night and there's no traffic or anything. Can you do it so the sensors pick you up and they're not going to budge? But one thing I will say, you need to get one of the traffic light engineers, that is, on the phone here. I would like to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, we'll put in a call to them. That's a great idea. We'll put in a call to them after the show and see if we can get them on in the next couple of days.
The UDOT app actually does have a comment section, so to speak. If you think that there are lights that are mistimed or not working or troublesome, you can actually send them a note and say, hey, this is the cross streets. This one I think you need to look at. And they'll actually come out and they can reprogram that.
Hi, Phil. You think it's worse in other cities, huh?
I used to work downtown Philadelphia and also downtown D.C., and at least here in Salt Lake, the traffic moves.
Moves better in Salt Lake?
Well, it moves, period. In Washington,
oh, yeah.
I lived 54 miles out of the city, and it would take me 2.5 miles, and the first 30 miles I could go 70.
Yeah, I remember being on assignment in Washington, D.C. many years ago, and we had to go from ABC News headquarters in D.C. to the United States Capitol so I could hit a live shot from the Capitol. And we left so early, and I was still running through the Capitol grounds to make the live shot because there was so much traffic in D.C. The parking is crazy. The traffic wasn't moving. So you're right. D.C. might win. But for me, when I'm sitting in, at another stoplight in Salt Lake City, I'm not worried about what's going on in San Francisco or D.C. or San Antonio or Philly or St. Louis or Colby, Kansas, for that matter. I just want to get to where I need to go.
We just have to make sure when we're looking, and of course UDOT looks into this, and city managers, they're trying to balance all of these competing desires. Like, we want to be able to move and free flow our way through the city, but when you are talking about north and south and east and west traffic, along with bike lanes and parking and turn-ins and turnouts, like it can be overwhelming managing that many different things. I wonder if that one-way street couldn't help simplify things for us. Sure, you may have to drive a box around and it's a little bit clunky and clumsy, but I see it improving things. I see there's a lot of advantages to it. There's no head-on crashes. There's no left-hand turns that are very dangerous. So there are some real benefits I think we could look at.
We're talking about an Axios.com article I spotted regarding Salt Lake City having some of the fastest drive times in the U.S., according to TomTom 2024 Traffic Index, saying that go to 6 miles in Salt Lake City takes about 10 minutes and 33 seconds. I think it takes longer than that just based on my Anecdotal, years of experience driving through downtown Salt Lake City to get from Broadcast House up to the U or, down south to 13 South. It takes quite a while. And I thought, is this just me? And then I found a Reddit thread where tons of comments, Dave. Let me just read this to you real quick. I live by the U, this person posted, and I work downtown. And when I drive, I hit every light red. When I bike, I hit every light red. When I walk, I hit every light red. I don't see substantial traffic headed the opposite direction. I'm usually traveling with traffic regardless of the mode. It happens at South Temple, 100, 200, 300, 400 South. Seriously, what gives? And I'm like, I love this Reddit thread. And I just started reading through the comments. A lot of people were frustrated.
I had a coworker that worked, he and I worked the same schedule. We were producers, and he lived kind of up by the U. It took him as long to get those probably 7 or 8 miles. It took him as long to travel here. It took about 25 minutes as it did for me to come from Kaysville. I was traveling 25 miles. He was traveling 7 miles, and it would take us the same amount of time.
Straight ahead, Dave, we're going to return to our conversation about remote work. President of the United States signing an executive order that sends federal workers back to the office 5 days a week. We're going to get live with News Nation, and they're going to give us a full update on how quickly this could take effect next.
Boy, right after the holidays, everyone needs a little cash, right?
Oh, yes.
We have great news for you. Right now, UCCU, Utah Community Credit Union, will pay you for your auto loan and credit balances. So all you have to do is just transfer your auto loan or your credit card balance to UCCU. And on top of giving you a low interest rate, which will save you money, UCCU will give you 1% cash back up to $250 on every loan you transfer.
Amanda, as soon as I heard about this, I said, I'm in this exact situation. I actually had to have 2 loans to get my car a year ago.
Yeah.
Long story. Got it consolidated into one, and they paid me 1% back for each thing. I've got 1 payment now instead of 2. It's so much easier, and it took me maybe basically an hour. I just went straight to the website. I applied. They said, you got to send me these documents. I did, and all of a sudden, within a couple of days, I had it all set.
This is how easy they are to work with, always looking for ways to help you and your family. You can find out more on the UCCU mobile banking app or just go to uccu.com/transfer. Utah Community Credit Union. You're going to love where you bank.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,025 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,025 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,025 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hi, Susan. We haven't seen or heard from you.
Cold.
We would like to locate Joyce.
The mysteries that made podcast history
Cherie Warren disappeared.
are now together for free at kslpodcasts.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, the host of Cold. Join me for Season 1, The Susan Powell Case Files.
Season 2, Justice for Joyce, and Season 3, The Search for Cherie. Listen anytime for free at kslpodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Dave and Debbie.
It's impossible to digest and consume all of the news that's now coming at us through either social media or through web pages or through the radio. Pick what is most impactful in your life and focus on that. And that's what Dave and I do every single morning. We pick those issues that are most important to our listeners and we boil it down so it's digestible. It's simple to understand.
I think we're trying to find the essence of the story. You know, you can't be an expert on all things, but that doesn't mean you can't be curious and really find out more and educate yourself and learn the complexities of an issue. But I think all of us start at ground zero on everything. Ask questions, show that curiosity.
And then if you need more research, you can always go to KSLNewsRadio.com and learn more.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio. KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. KSL's top story this morning. We're getting more reports this morning about a bit of a mystery in the skies. West Valley City Police say several people called in early this morning saying they heard a loud boom and saw several flashes of light in the sky. Lieutenant Bill Merritt says one of their officers also reported seeing and hearing the same thing.
We don't know if it was a meteor or a drone crashing or what. We have no idea what it is, but it is very peculiar.
Merritt says they initially thought maybe a transistor had blown, but they haven't been able to find evidence of any damage anywhere. He says whatever it was big, but they still don't know the cause. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump saying he wants to bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. with his proposed new trade tariffs on China. Toy makers who make most of their products in China are now responding.
Speaking to ABC News from his showroom in Hong Kong, Jay Foreman, CEO of Basic Fun, said a toy like a Tonka Mighty dump truck that is $30 at Walmart or Target may end up being $45 once tariffs are imposed. Foreman also said tariffs would force him to break up his reliable supply chain in China and threaten time-tested and stringent safety protocols that have been in place for years.
ABC Britt Clement reporting a major winter storm that slammed Texas and the northern Gulf Coast is spreading heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain across parts of the Florida Panhandle and eastern Carolinas. There are now warnings of snow, sleet, and ice accumulation. Your money at this moment: Dow up 99 points, S&P has gained 45, NASDAQ up 290. Coming up, it's still colder than normal out here as well. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Things are just better with a partner or a friend. And when it comes to losing weight, Soda Weight Loss makes it easier than ever to let go of the weight for good.
I'd been wanting to lose weight, and I tried on my own. I'd been seeing things for soda, and so we talked to the nutritionist and loved every bit of it. You know, I couldn't be happier, honestly, with the result.
Join with a partner and only pay for one. Imagine achieving all your weight loss goals together with your partner, and you only pay for one.
I've let go 50 pounds, and I don't have the cravings that I used to have.
I would definitely recommend soda. It's because it works. I even recommended it to my daughter, and she's on her journey now.
Just go and look at the almost 9,000 Google reviews about soda weight loss. Lose the weight without injections, without medications, without hunger. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Do you have any idea how hard your heating system has to work when your old windows let the cold air seep in? Your energy bill is going through the roof. But there's an answer, and it comes from Advanced Window Products. For 38 years, they've been building state-of-the-art insulated windows and frames, and every one of them is built right here in Utah. So let me explain why it's cost-effective to call them for new windows right now. First, you'll see a significant drop in your energy bills, winter and summer, and right now, Call Advanced Windows and you'll get $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane insulated glass that'll keep out the cold, and custom frames in any style, any color. Advanced Windows offers a 60-month, 0% interest payment plan, and they even offer a plan with no payment, no interest for 24 months. Plus, that $2,500 off right now. Call for a no-pressure consultation, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
What's left of an earlier accident is out of traffic on the shoulder. This is on I-215's west belt going southbound just after the 201 junction. Also a damaged roadway. This is Redwood Road northbound in Bluffdale at about 146 South. Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account. Plus, continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Things will stay colder than normal for the next couple of days. Lows in the upper teens. Fridays, things will warm up a little before a storm could move in on Saturday. Right now, it's 28 degrees and sunny. I'm Jessica Lowell from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
Well, shortly after he was inaugurated, President Trump signed an executive order. It calls federal employees back to the office 5 days a week. In a moment, we're going to get live with News Nation for an update on how soon. Do they know how soon this will happen?
Hopefully it's tomorrow, right? I mean, as quick as possible is always so ambiguous that you think, like, maybe within the next 4 years. Are you going to slow roll this? What does it really look like? It'll be fascinating because talk is cheap. It's easy to do, but to actually implement, it's, you know, how many feet are going to be held to the fire on this?
Here's what President Trump himself has said about it, and I'm going to read you the executive order in a second.
Also require that federal workers must return to the office in person.
And on the White House website, it said heads of all departments and agencies in the executive branch of government shall, as soon as practicable is what they said, take all necessary steps to terminate remote work arrangements and require employees to return to work in person at their respective duty stations on a full-time basis. And it actually goes on to say, provided that the department and agency heads shall make exemptions they deem necessary. So there might be some exemptions. We'll have to get with News Nation to figure out what that is.
Yeah, if you're exceptional, if you're incredible, then maybe you get that
or
that
you're
pass.
a member of a union.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you're a member of
if
a
that's
union.
what they've negotiated.
Yeah.
But I think some of the numbers that we've seen, it's pretty incredible. I didn't realize how much of D.C. and federal employees are just not showing up to work, right? I mean, they're working, but they're not going into the office. The Government Accountability Office has looked into this, and they've found that only 25% of the buildings are being used. 25%. That's it. They're ghost towns.
Alina Shirazi of News Nation, she's the Washington correspondent. You've been tracking this story. Any thoughts or any information on how soon some of these federal employees who have been remote working will be ordered back to in-person office work?
Hi there. Yeah, nice to be with you guys. I mean, 50% of federal workers are now being asked to return to the office. And as you mentioned, the unions are working with some of them. Some of those exemptions, there could be medical reasons. They could be just along those lines. I mean, they're still trying to work out the details of this. A lot of these people have their work from home in some capacity measures, written into their contract. So, of course, the unions are getting involved. And they're just trying to take advantage of the time that they have before this is going to be impacted when they have to hit the ground running back to work. I actually do have a statement. We reached out to some unions. This is one of the largest unions, if I can read their statement. I actually just got it.
Yeah.
They represent 800,000 government employees. So that's a lot of people. So something they said here that kind of stood out to me, they said, quote, this directive turns back the clock to before 2010 when Congress required federal agencies to expand telework by law. Congress took this action a full decade before the pandemic, recognizing telework as an important tool for agencies' operational efficiency. They went on to say that President Trump's transition team has spent months exaggerating the number of federal employees who telework. Less than half of all federal jobs are eligible for telework, and the workers who are eligible still spend most of their work hours at their regular duty stations. The union also went on to say that, these sort of hybrid schedules are key for recruiting and keeping employees across the board, especially top talent. So they are making the case there and pushing back against this. And just people that I've spoke with, I'm sure we all have people that we know, acquaintances or friends who work in the government. Some of them are telling me that their spouse goes to work while they work remotely and take care of the kids. So for many people, they've already kind of established this day-to-day routine and schedule, and it could definitely uproot their lifestyle.
Is there a sense or a belief that this is being pushed by one of the president's advisors, Elon Musk, who kind of infamously said when he had purchased Twitter, pretend to work somewhere else. You're going to come back into the office here at Twitter. And then he ends up laying off 80% of Twitter at the time. So is there a sense that Elon Musk has really pushed the president on this?
We have heard that. That hasn't been confirmed, but, trying to get people back in the office while getting rid of some of those other departments. Where I'm at right now, I was in front of the Department of Energy. The Department of Education is around the corner. To your point, is this a little bit of politics or is this for a reason? Trump has said that he wants to fill up these buildings and he wants to sell up the ones that aren't used. President Trump and his counterparts in the administration, following his lead, they are really looking at the bottom line for a lot of this, for finances, for business as well. Trump is a business guy, right? That is how we know him before he was president. So he is thinking about the numbers as well for all of this. But going back to Elon Musk, this could definitely be one of the many first assignments probably for DOGE, right? The Department of Government Efficiency. This is kind of what they say they're going to start working on.
Alina Shirazi is Washington correspondent for News Nation, and we've appreciated News Nation joining us over the last couple of months to help us cover these developments as the transition is happening between the Biden administration and the Trump administration. And I'm also wondering, are you hearing anything about federal workers saying, I'll just need to quit. I'll need to quit my job, and maybe that's part of the goal here.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to anyone just yet who says, hey, I need to quit my job if this happens. But I have just sort of heard of people saying, well, I might need to switch jobs then, right? Maybe I shouldn't be working in the federal government if this isn't going to happen. And so maybe you'll see people that will start looking elsewhere. Maybe they will have to quit if it doesn't work for them. Things like I brought up that example before, childcare. It's really expensive. And so if they can't get their salaries to match that, maybe they'll ask for a higher salary. Maybe it'll ask for other things. And these are all kinks that really need to be worked out, and there's no clear-cut answer. I mean, there was a world in which everyone did go to the office before this, but things have changed. The pandemic has really changed a lot of things in the way that we operate.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Alina Shirazi, as News Nation's Washington correspondent. Thank you for joining us.
You and I talked about this earlier in the show when we took phone calls, got a lot of text messages on it as well. It seems like everybody, has an opinion, and they differ. Lots of opinions on it. But before the show, I sat down and I jotted down a list in favor of return to the office and why I would be against return to the office. If I was working remotely, and you did, so I'd love for you to weigh in on this. You did, especially like in the height of the pandemic. But I'd be in favor of return to the office because I really enjoy collaboration. I think there's some businesses where collaboration really flourishes when you're all in person, and you can, like being able to peek over the cubicle fuels collaboration, right? It's hard when you kind of track somebody down. Maybe you have a Zoom meeting, it glitches, or you're trying to text. I just think that there's a lot lost in remote communication. And I really enjoyed, and I've always enjoyed this my whole career, the human interaction, being around people, talking to people, and also like really kind of getting to know my coworkers. And I think when you are separated by phone and computer, it becomes more difficult. Those are just a couple of the things that I wrote down in favor of returning to the office.
There's no question that a social aspect plays into it. And if you like your coworkers, then that's great. If you don't like your coworkers, then maybe you look to isolate yourself. In my experience, I missed the interaction. I missed having that kind of pop in, have a conversation, brainstorm some ideas, because every time we had to talk, it was, all right, let's get on our phones. Let's set up a Teams call. Are you setting up the Teams call? Hey, your microphone's off. Oh, my headphones aren't working. Hang on. It's very clumsy, and it's not really conducive.
I mean, I
to
like that we
collaboration.
have it, though.
Yeah.
I think I like it. It's maybe better than a conference call, like old school.
Yeah.
But I do like that we have it. But I think you're right. Mostly, it can be we're waiting to make a connection, and so it does kind of. What did you see besides just missing the human interaction? You saved a lot of money. So on the plus side for you, staying at home and working remotely was like a financial windfall.
It was like getting a raise.
Really?
Yeah, a raise of several $100s. Because not only was I saving time, I was saving actual money. So a commute, gas money, lunches, I was always eating at home. I didn't find myself just kind of swinging by the drive-thru on the way home. It was very, very easy to save money. One of the hardest things to do was to turn it off. When I was working home, I found myself sequestered, and I would get in a project, and then the hours would tick away because you have no distractions, and you were able to focus and kind of dive into it. But you also don't have that cutoff of, hey, I'm literally going to leave here and go be with my family, because you're already with your family. And you have these little weird interactions where they pop in and like, hey, how's it going? Just seeing how you're doing. Here, when you're working at home, at work, you have to leave to see your family.
One of our texters at 57500 said, I think we're asking the wrong thing. If remote workers are getting the job done and we are blaming them for giant empty buildings, then why do we still maintain these big buildings? Like the private sector, combine departments into one building and sell off the rest. Stop blaming workers for the real problem. I think it's a great question. I don't know, but right. I mean, we've got giant buildings that might largely be empty or partially empty because people have been remote working. And that's one of the things that I wrote in favor of getting people back to the office is actually because I'm looking at it from a taxpayer's perspective. If I'm going to finance that building, pay for the lights, pay for the HVAC, pay for the guards, I don't know if I want it to sit empty. I don't know if I want it to sit empty. Like personally, I just think I'm paying for it. I want to see lights on and people in that building.
And Trump has said, well, let's sell it. Let's sell the building. If we're not filling it up and we reduce, then we have too many buildings, and let's sell it, and let's stop carrying that. There's also another thing that I was a little bit of a trend, and LinkedIn News did a little bit of research on this. Have you ever heard of the double dipper workforce?
No.
So the double dipper workforce.
I bet you I can figure this with it. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, go ahead. You guess,
I'm
and
gonna
you're
guess.
going to
Okay.
be right.
I think it's like you're working from home and then you're working another job.
You're working 2 remote jobs,
Yeah.
and you're giving them both half your attention, right? I mean, there's only so many hours in the day, but it does make it very easy to work 2 jobs. So what these double dippers were doing, or over employers, they were over employment kids. They were going in, getting 2 jobs, pulling 2 paychecks. There's nothing illegal about it. Maybe there's something unethical about it, but you can work 2 jobs. But there were examples of people pulling in 2 different 6-figure salaries. And the companies didn't know. That's one of the big keys here, is the double dippers weren't telling the other company.
Sorry, I think that's kind of impressive, though.
Be able to keep that?
You'll be able to do that.
Like managing 2 families.
If your
How do
company
you do
doesn't
that?
know you're working another job, I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying that's pretty impressive. If your company didn't know and you're able to pull in, you must be a really efficient employee for both companies. Earlier in the show, when we were talking about this right out of the gates, about Trump's plan to bring federal workers back in person to the office, it sounds like kind of ASAP, although we don't have an exact date. We took phone calls. And Rob from Sandy said, yeah, let's get people back to work.
Well, I don't work remote. I would like to see these people go back. I mean, you nailed it on. You nailed it on the head on a lot of different. Just listening to you guys, talking about all these empty buildings we're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
Life's so expensive. Life's so expensive because we're wasting all this money through government. We really got to change course.
Got to change course, and we have to make sure, though, we don't take the pendulum and swing it too far the other way, because remote working and technology has gotten to the point where it is so effective, it's easy, everyone knows how to use it, that there is a role for remote working. There are times when it would be silly to do away with remote working. Let me give you an example. We have snow days here, right? We have times where massive amounts of snow pour down, and it is dangerous on the road. There's no reason why we can't work remotely. 90% of the time, we could totally do our job. We just need a little equipment. It's not a long-term solution, but maybe for a day or two on bad storms, say, work remotely. I don't want to do away with some of those very obvious. If you have a woman that's on maternity leave and she spends 6 weeks with the baby and then wants to work her way back in, for another 6 weeks or something, like there should be some reasonable accommodations that we should look at and make sure that we don't swing so far over and demonize remote work that there's never an option for it.
Which brings me back to the list that I wrote down before the show for and against return to office. And the reason I'd be against return to office is I have a lot of empathy for working parents when you're both trying to juggle a full-time career. Did that. You are raising kids. And I think Tony in Kaysville really hit the nail on the head when he called the show to talk about that particular angle and how he worries that this is going to affect middle-class families, especially who have to go out and find daycare options, which I know as somebody who paid for daycare, it can get expensive.
As far as the remote work situation goes, I think you do away with a lot of the middle class when you implement this so abruptly. I don't think the people at the top are necessarily the ones getting affected by this change.
Do you think, as I do, that jealousy plays a role in this?
You said that earlier, and I just cannot latch on to that concept at all. I just can't.
Okay, so let me give an example. I think this is a real possibility. So let's say that I'm the remote worker, and I'm not paying for any gas, and I'm not paying for lunches, and I'm able to show up in my pajama pants, right, and do my job. I think other people, and say you're the one that has to show up to work every single day. I could see, maybe not you specifically, where people would say, well, I would like to not have to commute in. I would like to have that time back in my family. Perhaps I could live down, in Nephi, and where homes are more affordable. And I could be jealous that you get all these accommodations and you get this kind of de facto raise by being able to work remotely. I'm like, that's not fair. You're not paying me the difference, So I think jealousy could play into this. And then I also think bosses could look at it and say, well, I'm coming in. Everyone else is coming in too. Got to prove to me that you're working.
See, well, I guess my concept is, as you're saying that, I'm trying to think through that a little bit, is like I like to be seen in the office. I do. And I've always enjoyed working in a newsroom. And it's just usually there's just a lot of activity, and it's fun to work with colleagues, talk about story ideas, vet through angles on stories. And I also have thought it was important in my career to be seen in the office. It's not like, where's Deb? It's like, I'm in the office, right? I'm working. Now, when I'm out of the office, it's because I'm meeting with sources or I'm doing interviews, and then I'm right back in the office. I think sometimes out of sight is out of mind.
Research has proven that to be the case. Remote workers are less likely to receive promotions. They're less likely to have that personal relationship with their superiors, to have some of those networking opportunities. That has been proven to be the case. You're absolutely right.
So that's why I set jealousy aside in favor of being seen in the office. All right. Straight ahead, Dave and I spotted a new study that's out. It talks about the benefits and the risks with using those weight loss drugs like Ozempic. We're going to be joined by Lois Collins of the Deseret News, who's been looking into this new research to walk through it straight ahead.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Let me tell you about Salt Lake City Fat Loss, folks, because it's a program that I joined a year ago, and I saw some incredible results. So if you're looking at the new year and you're thinking about a new you can get an extra $200 off the program with Salt Lake City Fat Loss by signing up now. And I will tell you, the program works. It was fantastic for me. I lost 57 pounds in 60 days. I could not believe it. No one around me could believe it either. I was moving around so much better on the pickleball court. I was lightning fast. I am not lightning fast, but I was way faster once I shed all that weight. So if you're looking to lose some weight, you're trying to find a program without injections, without surgery, Salt Lake City Fat Loss was outstanding, and you can reach out to them. Go ahead, schedule a free consultation, and let them walk you through what the program looks like. Again, $200 off the program if you sign up right now. That's a special New Year deal they've got going on. Learn more at slcfatloss.com.
This January, Ogden is the epicenter of amazing RV deals during the Northern Utah RV Show, January 23rd to the 25th. Inside the Golden Spike Event Center, you'll find unbeatable pricing on new and used travel trailers starting as low as $129 per month on approved credit, and fifth wheels starting as low as $349 per month OAC. You'll also find every remaining new 2024 on clearance during the show. Plus, you can play now and pay later with no payments until April OAC. We'll also have the entire lineup of Go Play travel trailers ready to tour and take home at the lowest pricing of the year. Start shopping the biggest deals now at NorthUtahRVShow.com. On top of unbeatable pricing, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year RV Fix membership, your fast track to RV service repairs. Get in for free to Ogden's biggest new and used RV sale, the Northern Utah RV Show. 3 days only, January 23rd through the 25th, inside the Golden Spike Event Center. Sponsored by Bish's RV. Stock numbers 81734, 87503. Based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 to 240 months. Subject to prior sale. See dealer details.
Attention home buyers. Want to save hundreds on your mortgage payment or buy a bigger, nicer home? Visit SaveRight.com. This is Rod with the SaveRight team at Realty Path. Save Right. Our name says it all. Save Right real estate clients often save $300 to $600 a month on their mortgage. Life of loan savings can be over $300,000. Save Right clients qualify for and buy bigger, nicer homes. Interest rates are around 7%. Save Right clients can get fixed rates in the 5s. Our affiliate lender makes it all possible. You can even start with a rate in the 2s. If you're buying or selling a home in Utah, save a ton of money. Hire the Save Right team of realtors. Visit SaveRight.com for more information.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour is breaking news. And we are just learning that at least 2 students were shot this morning at a high school in Nashville. Police say that another student allegedly shot at them in the school cafeteria in Antioch High School. The school is currently on lockdown, but police say the shooter is no longer a threat. We are waiting for a news conference from officials on the scene, and we'll continue to bring you the very latest. The judge in the Idaho College murders case could rule this week on DNA evidence that prosecutors say ties Brian Kohberger to the murders.
Brian Kohberger's defense team trying to get critical evidence thrown out as they raise questions about how law enforcement zeroed in on him. His attorneys taking aim at DNA analysis known as investigative genetic genealogy, a process that involves entering DNA profiles into public databases to find relatives and narrow the list of potential suspects. Prosecutors tying Kohberger to the quadruple murders after they say his DNA was found on a button snap of a knife sheath found at the scene.
ABC's Kana Whitworth reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 147, the S&P up 43. And another hazy day tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
One of the things I love about Advanced Garage Doors is they offer 24/7 same-day service with certified technicians. If you ever need them, they're there.
And Dave's found himself in a pickle with his garage door where he needed a certified technician on the spot.
A blown spring.
Yeah. They've got the lifetime warranty on all residential doors and parts, so you get that peace of mind knowing that your garage door is always protected as long as you follow the recommendations.
You know, before we had met with Advanced Garage Doors, I didn't even realize that I needed to have a tune-up on my garage door every single year. Like, you don't realize that it can get out of balance, that they can grease up and smooth out the rollers so that it stays quiet and it doesn't sound like a tank driving over your house.
And with Advanced Garage Doors, financing is available. So ask them about that when you give them a call. And you can design your dream garage door right on their website. And you know that can really transform your home.
Is there a bigger change you can make than that huge, beautiful garage door on the front of your house? Go ahead and reach out to Advanced Garage Door. A great way to do it is through their website, advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
Or you can always give them a call. They'd love to hear from you. 801-989-3667. Again, that phone number is 801-989-DOOR.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
A delay-free drive on all the Valley freeways, but in Bluffdale, we do have left lanes blocked due to road work. It's mostly causing northbound delays on Redwood Road near 146 South. Lagoon is hiring full-time year-round ride maintenance technicians and electricians with journeyman and apprentice-level experience. Apply online at lagoonpark.com/jobs. Must be 18 years of age or older to apply. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 35 today with sunny and clear skies. We'll see the sun stick around tomorrow with some haze rolling in that sticks around into Friday. Right now it is 30 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
I opened up my Deseret News app this morning, Dave, and there it was. This new article written by Lois Collins, our friend at the Deseret News, about the pros and cons associated with the weight loss shot that a lot of people are taking. There's a new study out, and she really takes a deep dive into the benefits and the risks of taking drugs like Ozempic.
Yeah, Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, they've been extremely popular, these semaglutide kind of medications that are being used for weight loss. Part of what is so interesting to me about this, Lois, as you join us in this conversation, is this is not a brand new medication. This is a medication that has been around for quite some time. It was being used for diabetics to help control their blood sugar. So it's not just this new drug that we know nothing about. We have years of experience, and we've seen years worth of side effects.
That's true. And this particular study, which was in one of the Nature journals, Nature Medicine, looked at the numbers, but it looked specifically, by the way, it's worth noting, in people who are being treated for diabetes. So it wasn't the general population, but it was people who were being treated for diabetes.
True.
But they figure that it holds across the board regardless. And they found 42 potential health benefits, somewhere between 10 and 20% reduction prevention value. And then they found 19 that are risks, and the risks are a little bit lower than the benefits.
And they analyzed, it was a pretty big swath of people using it. It was like 200,000 plus people.
215,000 people. They partnered, it was Washington University in St. Louis, partnered with the St. Louis VA system for this, and it was a massive study.
Okay. So let's get into it.
What were some of the, maybe let's go positive right now. Let's talk about the benefits of the drug aside from just the weight loss. And oftentimes we see this with drugs where they perhaps create a drug for one purpose and then the side effects can actually be beneficial. What are some of the benefits we saw?
Yeah, one of the best examples of that, by the way, was a stop smoking drug that turned out to be a mood elevator that helped with depression. The Wellbutrin was really well known for that. So in this case, they found that there's a reduced risk of heart attack, of deep vein thrombosis. Those are both related, of course, to diabetes and the risk to the heart. Alzheimer's disease.
That's one I've been kind of tracking a little bit on that, and hopefully maybe that's good news for people that are worried about it, have it in family history.
Could be great news. So Alzheimer's is one, psychotic disorders, alcohol, cannabis, and other substance use, not just those two. They actually think that it might have a beneficial effect on people who have a gambling addiction, which is kind of interesting, although that's not part of the medical part of it, but that is part of the story.
So let me explain for folks that maybe don't realize we've done some specials on some of these medications, and one way that a doctor described it to us is these medications, when you take them, can maybe tamp down some of what he said, the food noise. So, oftentimes we're like, you know what sounds great right now? Some potato chips and some cookies.
What I'm going to have.
Think about it. So they talk about it tamping down some of the food noise. And what we're seeing now, some of the benefits elsewhere, is it might tamp down some of those same cravings when it comes to alcohol, cigarette use, drugs. And that would make total sense. As you said, gambling because some of that addictive behavior that is more mental than it is physical, right? I don't need more food. I got plenty of fat that I can burn right here. But my brain is saying French fries are delicious. They're the saltiest.
So the thing that's really interesting is as you look at the list of things, you start seeing connections. It has been shown to maybe reduce suicidal ideation, which is huge, self-harm type things. But the reason that's the links there to the mental illness as well. So you've got, if you're less anxious, if you're less depressed, if you're less whatever, then you might be less apt to hurt yourself. So there are all sorts of interconnections. And the other one is bulimia. They think that it could help with eating disorders.
And do you have any more information on why they think
No,
that?
not on bulimia.
No.
I have absolutely no clue.
But I think what this is showing is that there's a lot of other potential benefits to people besides weight loss and obviously controlling diabetes.
Well, and some of that. So bulimia could be related to addictive action. It could also be related to the mental health side of things, body image, that kind of thing. I mean, everything's sort of connected in the human body. And in this case, they are very hopeful that these drugs can help with some of it, but they're not without risk. And so the two particular risks are pancreatitis and kidney problems. But there are also some so they want people who are on these drugs to be monitored for kidney function. That's like you've got to be monitored for that because that could be a serious problem and it could cause serious harm. But they also think that it could lower blood pressure. So if you're already prone toward low blood pressure, your doctor might prescribe something else for you. Fainting, there's some tie to headaches, to sleep disturbances, to joint pain. And the biggest thing that people complain of, especially initially, is pretty common with any drug that you start, and that's the gastrointestinal. I've got a little bit of cramping and bloating and diarrhea and that kind of thing.
You said here on this list, on your Deseret News article, Lois, it says rare cases of stomach paralysis.
Yes, gastroparesis, and that is a big problem if it happens. And by the way, there is at least one medicine that helps with that, but it causes twitching. So you might get facial tics or other problems. But gastroparesis is when your stomach does not empty as fast as it should, or your intestinal tract doesn't move food along the way that it should. And a lot of times that's really manageable, but it depends on how severe it is.
Which, with my understanding, is at the core of what some of these medications do, is where it slows down your digestion so that it doesn't process your food. You feel full longer. So it's not just a mental switch that is turning off and on. There's actually a physical processing switch, so to speak, in your stomach, as this doctor was describing to us, that it actually slows down how your stomach functions so that it keeps the food in there longer and it processes it slower so you're not constantly craving and hungry.
And it messes with your brain, like we said before. So you feel you've got more satiety immediately. You don't have those cravings. So it's really hopeful. I think for someone like me that has Alzheimer's in their family, and you kind of, every time you lose the keys, you kind of go, oh, what's going on?
Is this the moment?
But the other thing to keep in mind is that for these benefits, the numbers are still pretty small. So specifically with Alzheimer's, they believe that it lowers the risk of Alzheimer's by 12%. And 12% is certainly significant, but it's not a cure at this point. So you got to keep things in mind. And the doctors who did this study made it a real point to tell people that you have to weigh the benefits and risks. So figure out what you're worried about and what health risks you're facing. And is your risk from diabetes or from heart disease greater than the problems that it can cause?
And I wonder, how long do you have to stay on it to recognize these benefits, and then the cost?
The cost is...
if your insurance doesn't cover it.
Yeah, the cost, even if your insurance does cover it, if you've got a good copay, it could be... We're talking over $1,000 a month for these medications. So if your insurance pays for most of it, that's great. If it doesn't, maybe not so great. As far as Tell me the other question again.
Well, I just say like how long do you have to stay on this Ozempic or weight loss drug for these benefits to really show up, like the reduction in Alzheimer's? I guess
I don't know how long
out.
you have to stay on it because I don't think they've tested them for those things. But what we do know is that people get rebound weight if they go off them. So there's been a lot of discussion about the fact that with Ozempic or Wegovy, you might be on it for the rest of your life if you want to keep the weight off.
When I think about the promise it's showing for addictive behaviors, like is that something that if somebody has alcohol addiction, maybe they need to stay on it for a while to see if it actually, obviously all of this under a doctor's guidance, not because you heard it on KSL News Radio, but fascinating reporting, Lois. Thank you so much. Lois Collins of the Deseret News. You can check out her story on weight loss drugs, the pros and the cons of it, according to this study of 215,000 people who had type 2 diabetes. They looked at them for over 4 years. You can check that out at Deseret.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. In today's fast-paced world, collaboration is key, and Lucid Software is leading the way. With their innovative visual collaboration platform, Lucid helps teams around the globe turn ideas into action. President and CEO Dave Groh joins us with more.
At Lucid Software, we've been helping teams envision and build the future through the power of visual collaboration for over a decade. From our headquarters in South Jordan, Utah, we've grown into a global brand that empowers more than 70 million users to collaborate seamlessly, no matter where they are. To build, every team goes through the same common workflow from idea to reality. And as the end-to-end visual collaboration platform, we support teams at every step of this process, from brainstorming and ideating as a team, to decision-making, to planning, to design and documentation, and ultimately execution. Along that journey, visual collaboration enables teams to communicate and collaborate the way they work best, visually. And because that workflow is common for essentially all teams, we believe that all knowledge workers can, should, and will use visual collaboration in the years to come for the power of clarity, alignment, and accelerated innovation. To learn more, visit lucid.co.
Lucid Software continues to shape the future of teamwork with its cutting-edge platform, driving clarity and innovation for businesses worldwide. Discover how visual collaboration can transform your team's workflow at lucid.co. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
At Trio Senior Living, older adults aren't slowing down. They're just getting started. The Prime Fit Wellness program expands wellness beyond the gym into every aspect of community life. Whatever your goals, the team at Trio Senior Living has got your back, so you can put your best foot forward. Join Trio Senior Living at the Winter Carnival, January 25th from noon to 2 p.m. We hope to see you there.
Dave and Dujanovic.
As we've been reporting out of our newsroom, we're waiting on a news conference. It sounds like there's going to be one any moment now in Nashville. We got word that 2 students were shot at a high school there. Police saying that the alleged shooter is no longer a threat. But we don't know much more than that at this point, so we're waiting for that update, and we'll take you there live when it happens.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
We're going to head up to Capitol Hill. It's day 2 of the 2025 legislative session on KSL News Radio, and our partners, of course, at the Deseret News, keeping an eye on everything that's going on in the Hill that impacts Utah families and beyond.
And one thing we have to realizes a lot of this work, especially in the early days of the session, has already been done throughout the year, where they've met, they've written these bills, they've negotiated, and perhaps they're leaving it up for a little bit more public comment. But a lot of this stuff is kind of getting rubber stamped, right? A lot of this stuff has already been hashed out. So these early bills that we're talking about often have a lot of momentum.
Holly Richardson works with us at the Deseret News. She publishes articles there, but also as the editor with Utah Policy. Are you live on Capitol Hill right now?
I'm actually not. I am tracking it online like a lot of people.
Awesome. Well, you were with us yesterday, Holly, for day 1. We so appreciate it. What are you watching today?
So today they started the committee hearings. So in the morning they did appropriations, just the beginning. So they're talking about base budget, which is just what it sounds like, the basic budgeting that needs to be passed quickly. It gets the base out of the way so that if they can quibble over details later, but they have to have that passed early on. And then this afternoon they'll start the regular committee hearings. So I'm watching two, especially. One of them is they're both in government operations, but one of them is a bill by Representative Joseph Ellison, and it says if it passes, this bill would keep Utah on standard time, meaning we would not change our clocks forward in the spring and back in the fall. We would stay on standard time all year round. And one of the reasons he's approaching it this way is he says the state can make the decision to stay on standard time, but it takes an act of Congress to be able to stay on daylight saving time. So he's trying to do it that way.
And Congress has shown some interest in doing this very thing to allow or to standardize daylight savings time instead of standard time. But it looks like it would be, hey, let's just stay on standard right now. And then if Congress, the federal government, moves, then we'll move with them when it's appropriate.
Yeah, in fact, the law that if it would pass, it actually says that they would stay on Mountain Standard Time until federal law allows Utah to observe Mountain Daylight Time year-round. So Utah did pass a law with 4 other states, I think, in 2020. So they had to have 5 states to ask for Congress to take action. And while there has been discussion and there seems to be the will to do it, nothing actually has happened. And so this is one way for him to say, look, we're going to just stay on the same time like Arizona. And then if Congress ever actually passes this law that says we can pick daylight saving time, then we'll do that.
So we would not, if this passes, theoretically, we would not spring forward.
That's correct.
Oh, wow. Well, we'll have to watch that one.
The way it says it would be enacted is you would spring forward for like a month and a half, maybe, and then you would go back.
So strange.
Okay.
May 7th.
Can I just say this has always given me a headache trying to figure out
I
what
know,
it would
right?
mean. All
Say goodbye to your 9:30 hikes, Debbie. That's what it means.
Yeah. Okay, Holly Richardson, editor of Utah Policy, on keeping an eye on the Hill for us. Go ahead, Holly. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, wouldn't it be funny if you sprang forward for a month and a half and then had to fall back in the spring?
I
Messes
know.
up all of your little rhymes. I don't know what it means.
There's also something else you're tracking regarding ballots. That's going to be discussed in
ballot
committee
tracking.
today. What's that? What's up with that?
It is. So that one, if you remember from a little bit earlier this last year, Mike McKell found out that his ballot was being tracked by the Utah County Clerk and how he actually filed it. So the clerk says he didn't look at how Senator McKell voted, but he did track it to say he didn't deposit it in a drop box during the primary. He sent it in by mail. So he was trying to shame him, I think. But what this bill does, this is being run by Stephanie Grecius, who's in the House, and she also had her ballot tracked. It just says this would become a misdemeanor if you start to do that, if you track it and make it public knowledge.
And just to be specific on that, we talked to Clerk Davidson out of Utah County when this was going on. It was that he had told one of our colleagues, I believe at the Deseret News, that Senator McKell had used use a postal service to turn his ballots, which is a legitimate legal way to do it, and that's exactly how I did it, instead of using a ballot box. So so I'm clear on this, this bill would say that county clerks could not reveal how we decided to mail our ballot or drop it off in a box, right?
Not only that, it actually would make it unlawful for them to access that. So he would be prevented by this law from actually tracking how people, and they call it a small group of people that could be identified, right? Which clearly they were. He can't track those. Like they just say if you do this, it's a Class B misdemeanor, just flat out.
And to the level he knew that Mike McKell didn't put a stamp on the ballot that he had to return.
That's how closely he tracked. Yep.
So very interesting, Holly Richardson. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep tabs with you and see what you're following. as the second day continues.
Yeah, great job, Holly. Thank you so much. Again, I want to just repeat that we're tracking some breaking news. Happened a little bit ago. We got word that 2 students were shot at a high school in Nashville. Police in the school district now reporting that the shooter is, and I'm quoting here, no longer a threat, and that the school went on lockdown. Shots were fired inside the school, according to Metro Nashville Public Schools. At least 2 students were shot, and they're saying specifically in the cafeteria. Maria Chaleos, our team of reporters, producers in the newsroom are going to be tracking that story very closely for you as we approach the noon hour.
I'm looking at WKRN.com news in Nashville, and it says that, it appears that one student was shot, one student shot 2 other students, and then he turned the gun on himself, according to WKRN.
Can we dip in live right now to ABC Radio and check in on their coverage of this story?
There's a lot of students at Antioch High School, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how long do you think you're going to be waiting, or?
I don't know, maybe 2 hours or more.
Okay. What's going to be your first message to them when you see them?
Honestly, words can't even say anything at that time.
Just hugging and all the love. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're still up.
All right, so you just heard from a sibling there who has 2 siblings inside. He says he was quickly drove to the scene of Antioch High School just as police were arriving as well. He said that his siblings had reached out to him first before the school, notifying them of a shooting. And he tells me that he watched as police officers ran into the high school with weapons drawn. He says it was very scary, and he was ushered back over to here where the parents are gathering at both the MAPCO and the Ascension Medical Group, waiting for more answers, waiting for their loved ones. So as that is continuing, there's a lot of questions, more so than there is answers. And that parent or that sibling was obviously
That's live
very
coverage out of Nashville right now, where we're learning that 2 students apparently shot at a high school in Nashville. It's called Antioch High School in Nashville. It went on lockdown. Maria Chaleos, our team of reporters and producers, with more straight ahead.
If you're struggling with missing or broken teeth or painful dentures, you're not alone. Countless people face these challenges, but you don't have to suffer any longer. It's time to rediscover the confidence of a full, healthy smile with Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's best of state winner. At Stubbs Dental, they understand how your missing teeth can hold you back in your career, social life, even in love. But it doesn't have to be that way. Their team of experts transforms lives with dental implants, one smile at a time. Imagine what a new smile could do for you. Thousands have turned to Stubbs Dental for dental implants, gaining more than just teeth. They've regained their self-confidence. And the best part? Finding out if you're eligible for dental implants is easy. Visit StubbsDental.com. And in just 60 seconds, you could be on your way to a life-changing smile. Don't wait any longer to take the first step towards the life you deserve. Visit StubbsDental.com, StubbsDental.com today.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the